Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Talent excuses cruelty. Don't you know that?
Not talent. Genius, maybe. You're talented, Thomas. The world is full of talented podcasts.
Podcasts!
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 I got a terrible line.
It's bad.
Talent excuses cruelty.
It is when
that explains our dynamic.
When I got to that dialogue exchange, I genuinely loosened my collar. I went, ooh.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Griffin Newman.
I'm David
Karen Hahn.
Sims. Oh, all right. You're just everyone's just talking. All right, great.
Oh, I'm Emma Stefansky.
We are, of course, hashtag the four friends.
We are. Yeah.
This is a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and David.
Yep.
And it's about filmographies. Directors who have had massive success early on in their career and are given a series of blank checks to do whatever crazy paths are.
Fucking hell. Jesus. Talent does not excuse cruelty. I don't know.
Whatever crazy passion projects they want. Sometimes those checks clear. Sometimes they bounce, baby. This is a mini-series about the films of Catherine Bigelow.
He had a big smile, and I gave him nothing when he said baby.
It's called Pod 19, The Widowcaster.
Uh-huh.
And we've gotten to our centerpiece movie.
Arguably the seminal Bigelow film.
I think
Right.
it's right in the... It might be the middle movie. 1, 2...
You're saying equidistant
3,
within...
4. Well, there's not a middle movie. She
Right.
needs to make one more.
She needs to make one more.
Okay.
This one's also weird because it was shot before K-19 The Widowmaker, but comes out after K-19 The Widowmaker.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
What?
Yes. This film...
Oh, because you mean like it debuted at a festival before, but it didn't
In
actually
2000.
get released
until
after.
September of 2002.
Which is a great... that's always
Right.
what you want out of a movie.
Right, but that is weird. I mean,
Yeah.
her biggest movie ever...
Right, came
that
out the
presumably
same
took
came
a
out the same
very
calendar
long
year.
time to shoot and finish
Mhm.
and to post, came out before this movie, which just sat around for a couple of years.
Yeah, and she just shot on a yacht.
Yeah, and on an island.
Mm-hmm.
It's The Weight of Water, of course. We all know this. It's The Weight of Water, the movie that made us question whether or not to do Catherine Bigelow as a miniseries. Genuinely, because I mean,
the movie
listeners,
that asks the question, how much does water weigh?
No,
Right?
But listeners know we had been throwing around Catherine Bigelow for a long time. We wanted to cover her. But it was always this thing of like, but fucking no one's going to listen to our Weight of Water episode.
Yeah.
It will be the least listened to episode in history. Is it worth doing?
I have a brief question. Have any of you guys... I know Emma and I had not seen this prior to this podcast. Had you guys seen it before?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
No
Life
one's
is
seen
finite.
this movie. No one has ever seen this movie.
No one. This movie doesn't exist.
No.
It
is a classic movie that doesn't exist.
But we were debating, how do we juice this episode up? Right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we give it some sort of internal intrigue? Make the episode compelling on its own. Thought about getting Snooki as a guest.
That was briefly considered.
You guys should have done that.
It is not a joke.
Nope.
No, unfortunately not.
There was a week of deliberating whether or not to have Snooki on this episode.
Not that Snooki said yes, to be clear. We were deliberating whether to ask Snooki to be on this episode.
But we had an in. We had an in. Because I don't know if listeners know this. We share something very, very important with Snooki.
What's that? We both love lasagna?
No.
That's a SNL callback. Remember that?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
We share a producer.
Yeah, we do. It's true.
Yep.
We share a producer, Ben. A producer, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
A Haas, a Mr. Positive, a tiebreaker, a birthday Benny, a dirt bike Benny,
mm-hmm.
a meat lover, a fart detective, a
David
fuckmaster.
Gets so mad during this.
We do not share Professor Crispy.
No.
No, we don't.
Are you Professor Crispy to her?
No.
Okay. You're never Professor Crispy.
No.
Are you any of those things to her?
You are a producer.
I'm her producer. I'm surprised she knows my name, but yeah. Yeah, I'm a producer.
Are you her benducer?
I mean, no.
Wait, don't go back to the start of the fucking
Are you her
list.
soaking wet Benny?
Oh, boy.
No, I'm not.
Let me ask you this, though, okay?
Oh, okay, sure.
As an American,
Yeah.
because I know we're living in divided times, people can't agree on anything.
Mm.
Does she at least recognize that you have graduated to certain titles over the course of different miniseries?
Unfortunately, she doesn't.
Producer Ben Kenobi, Kylo Ben,
No, she
Ben Night
doesn't.
Shyamalan,
Yeah,
Ben Say anything.
right.
Ailey Benz with a dollar sign?
I know, but no, she doesn't.
Warhus?
No,
Purdue Urbane?
no.
That's a bummer.
That's okay.
Anyway, this is our episode on The Weight of Water. We said, how do we make this episode more interesting? Now, I had thrown out on Twitter. Someone had asked at one point, who would host Blank Check if not you guys?
You mean like Bizarro Blank Check or whatever?
Right. And I said, like, in terms of subs, I feel like JD, Amato, Emily Uchida, and Richard Lawson are our three most frequent guests. They're guests of ours.
There are guests.
There are guests. But the more I thought about it, I said, I do feel like there's an alternate universe
You
version.
need the dynamic.
That's
You
the
can't
thing.
just. I mean, like those are all great folks, but you need a sort of a push and pull, a
Right.
yin and yang.
And I view those three folks as, if one of us were unable to do the show for a period of time,
Sure, they
maybe
could
one of those
sub
three
in.
people would sub in with
Right.
one of us.
Right.
Whoever still remained.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
who-
because definitely it's going to be me who's going to be unable to do the show, not you.
But I said there are two friends out there.
Mm.
Two friends who feel very parallel to us.
They haven't put a hashtag on it, but they are two friends.
Well, look, I mean, I'm not going to pull rank here,
Mhm.
but there's a certain level of seniority it takes, maturity, experience,
Let's
before you're
just
willing to put a
draw this
hashtag on it.
introduction out.
What are we in a rush to get to?
The weight of two parallel storylines: infidelity, incest, a chair murder.
Wait a sec, but you're saying this is a movie about two parallel storylines, and I'm presenting two
You're right.
parallel
You're right.
friends.
So are
doing-
we're the sort of refined,
who's the
like
past and who's
yacht
the-
owning. I don't know what else do they do? Like
Yes.
we're the writers, and these two are the
But
like.
you guys are also the previous iteration.
So maybe we are
We're
like
the
Sarah
hipster.
Polly and
The colonists.
Vanessa Shaw.
Right, that's my hope. I think I'm Polly, you're Shaw.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Right,
She's so pretty.
I'm pretty
I don't-
too. Polly's very
no,
beautiful.
of course, but I don't mean to go all Jeff Wells, but Vanessa Shaw is very pretty.
I did feel that way every time I see her in a movie.
Every time you see her for a second, you're like, fucking Jeff Wells.
Yeah.
Just for 1 second.
yeah, because he makes me feel guilty about finding her pretty.
She's so good in Two Lovers. I love her in that
amazing.
movie.
I do think she's one of the most beautiful people alive.
She's
but I can't
great.
say that now because of fucking Jeff Wells.
Well, that's why I put it out there. I'm just acknowledging it. I just sort of threw it out. But
I
yeah,
saw a guy in the subway today.
you are the Sarah Polly. I am the Vanessa Shaw.
Right.
I think that's
I'm
right.
overly delicate,
Sure.
constantly on the verge of tears,
Yeah. You seem right. You seem a little touchy.
sleepy eyed.
Yeah.
I saw a guy today on the subway who I genuinely thought was Jeff Wells for half
Oh,
a
God.
second.
Mm.
The very first press screening I went to in New York, Jeff Wells was
He was there?
Yeah.
Do you have the hat?
No.
Okay.
He didn't have the emotionally vivid cowboy.
What was
hat?
the very
No.
first press screening?
I think it was the Neon Demon.
Oh, sure. He was there. Well, he's
Yeah.
an LA man, of course. I saw a lot of him at TIFF. Mostly sort of,
I
distance.
saw a man who I thought was Jeff Wells on the subway, and then he turned out to just be a crazy 85-year-old man. But I'm not even like I'm not dunking on Wells here. For a second, I was
Still
like,
haven't introduced our guest. Just want
This
to
is
make
more
that
important.
clear.
It's fine.
they are hashtag the other two friends, the two other
two
friends,
pals. How do you guys think
the two
about
pals,
Two buds?
Two gals.
the
Two
the-
gals.
two
the two
gals.
pals.
Two
Let's-
gals.
Two
No.
Two
I don't. I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that.
Maybe not yet.
They're both film critics. You can see their bylines all about town. Do you want to list places? You've both written for too many places for me to like know what to
We
lead
both
with.
write
Karen
stuff.
writes for a bunch of places.
They
I
write
just
for
write
the
two.
internet.
Right for the internet.
Emma writes for ScreenCrush and Vanity Fair.
That's true.
You've written for Slashfilm.
Yeah, and Vulture and Vice and a couple other places. Yeah.
Just keep going.
it's
Just
fun.
keep listening.
and also known as the current day Martin and Lewis of Twitter.
Sure. Which one's Martin? Emma.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Emma's Martin.
Yeah, I
Karen
guess.
Hahn and Emma Stefansky are our guests today. I'm very excited.
What's up?
Woo!
We're also very excited.
Now I want
This
to
is
talk
the
about
next step
something.
of our single white emailing you guys. So
Sure.
It's been
I
really
just
good.
and I just messaged these two and I was like, "Hey guys, so you're going to be on the podcast for the weight of water. No, there's no questions allowed." Like because it's hard to pitch someone on being on the weight of water episode.
Right, but once again, like you should take it as a compliment that we were like, we need
How do
them
we
to do
spice
this
this
because
one
we
up?
need to spice up the one that no one's going to listen to.
No one's going to listen to this episode.
I want to address something right
That's
off
not
the
true.
bat.
People will listen.
Thanks.
to
People
this.
Yeah.
listen.
All right. Sure.
But
They
this
listen to the Loveless
Yeah,
episode.
this is a
so
big
come on.
test of our built-in audience.
Yeah.
But look, we're connoisseurs of context. You need this context. Some
All
people
right.
might just jump
Seinfeld.
straight from Point Break to, I don't know, the fucking Hurt Locker because you're only covering 4 movies.
I mean, that's kind of what happened in her career. Audiences sort of jump
Yeah.
from Point Break to the Hurt Locker, right?
But you listen some context in between. I want to talk about something right off the bat. Karen, you're behind something that's been taking the internet by storm.
God.
oh God, he's so obsessed with this.
Because I think it's the best thing, but also it's not like I'm the only one.
That's true.
I have rarely seen film Twitter take to someone else's bit this hard.
It's because it's not a bit.
But that's
is
why.
a bit.
That's
Well,
it's
yeah,
both.
It is a bit. Emma's calling her out. Emma's calling her out.
It's both.
I want
Okay,
to
okay.
get some conflict going.
No, because you're
You're just
You're
trying to share
gonna
some-
ruin our
I'm
friendship.
stirring shit up. Right. There can only be 1-2 friends.
you're the griffier duo.
Yeah.
And I feel like David and I get into arguments about this a lot about stuff I do and whether or not it is a bit. And the answer is I rarely do stuff I don't actually feel, but I
Yeah.
also know that I'm making it into a bit.
You lean
Sure.
into it.
Okay.
I'm framing it in a bit as a delivery device
Sure.
of my own feelings, if that makes sense. But everyone's got their bits on film Twitter. It's a bitty little world, right?
Yeah, sure. It's garbage. The worst.
You do it for the
I've got
fans, not
tons
for the
too, I'm sure.
critics.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's got their routine. But your routine is very infectious because you have what you dubbed Karen's Boys.
I didn't come up with that
She didn't
name.
come up with that.
Who came up
did?
with the name?
I don't remember.
Someone
anymore.
else came up with
Was it
that.
Fran?
Interesting.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't Fran.
Yeah, no, someone dubbed them Karen's Boys. It might, yeah, I don't know.
But Karen's Boys, I'm
I'm trying to look it up.
they're your boys. They are the actors who you love in multiple senses,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They're people whose work you respect and who you also find attractive.
That's correct.
I'm going
And
back.
you're going back to try to find the origin.
Yep. Keep going. No, carry on. Keep talking.
But you have like a very specific type of just like hardworking blue collar character actor,
Yeah.
often international, who you really take to.
Yes. I think Emma described him at some point that was like they all look like either they would die within the first 30 minutes of the movie or they would be the killer at the end.
Yeah, I think I did say that.
That's pretty spot on. I mean, Ben
Sounds like
Mendelsohn is kind of like
He seems to be the flagship.
he's the
boy.
emblematic, right?
Yeah.
And he certainly falls in that category. He's
Yes,
either first to
that's
go
correct.
or the one who offers the final blow.
Yeah.
Recent Burger Report subject, Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes.
Introduce him
Oh.
with his proper title.
I'm
Oh, sorry.
Recent Burger Report subject Ben Mendelsohn.
Thanks.
This movie has a pretty major Karen's Boy in it, right? Had he previously been dubbed as such?
Yes.
Definitely,
Yes.
yes. I mean, to the point that David texted me while he was watching this,
Sure.
and he was like, 4 shots in, there's a pretty major Karen's Boy.
Yes.
And when I started watching, it was pretty obvious who he's talking about.
Sure.
Vanessa Shaw.
And one of the things that I have to say, among multiple things that I found terrible about this movie, is that it made me feel uncomfortable for liking him. Like
Sure,
it made
he-
him actively unattractive.
He's a bit of a creep in this
He's
one.
horrible.
No,
yeah.
Gross.
But a lot of Karen's Boys are often presented as creeps or sad sacks.
Sure,
Or
right.
both.
Because that's the whole fucking bit, is that people don't usually get a crush on, I don't know, give me a Karen's Boy.
Eddie
Come on.
Marzin.
Yeah,
That's a good one, right?
that is a good one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think?
Sure.
Is,
Eddie Marzin, who is like a big cube on a little cube, a little cube on a big cube. He's a cube. He's a cube-shaped man.
he's one of
Looks
those.
like a Minecraft character. You're
He
right.
does. He does. He looks like a Minecraft character.
He's one of those Tetris configurations that stresses you out. You didn't rotate it fast enough, and you're like, "Fuck! How do I ever clear a line
He's
with
in
that on the board?"
He's in Mark Felt. And
Oh
he
my
like
God, I
literally
know.
doesn't even have a character name. He plays like a CIA guy, I think.
Yeah.
My
He
two
just like
most anticipated movies: Mark Felt and Death of Stalin.
Death of Stalin is good. 1 out of 2 is going to
I'm
be
not
satisfying.
talking about good movies.
No, I
No, but
understand.
These are like your Ocean's 11.
Yes,
this is like
exactly.
Pitt,
Exactly.
Clooney,
Mark Felt.
Damon.
Mark Fell has Josh Lucas in it, in fact. But he just sits down and he's like, yeah, the CIA's all over this. And you're like, oh, it's Eddie Marsan. Never comes back. You're like, why is he in this one shot?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Mark Felt report.
I feel like Felt report. I feel like a cornerstone of Karen's Boys is because I'm fascinated from a distance and trying to identify who is a Karen's boy. What
you have to be middle-aged,
right? But here's the thing: I think all of them got a lot of face.
A lot of face?
Yeah,
like big heads.
Oh my gosh.
Well, like Kieran Hines,
that's
big head.
He's a
good way of putting it.
big-headed man. Yeah.
So like literally a lot of face there. But then I look at Eddie Marsan, who's compact, but I go, "There's a lot of face.
There's
there.
a lot of
Yeah.
face.
They give
There's
a lot
of different stuff going on in the face there." There's a face where you have to lean in and go, what exactly is going on? And these guys who kind of like dramatically change appearance depending on angle.
Yes, that's correct.
Like if within a shot they tilt their head and now they look like a totally different. You're trying to figure out how the fucking nose works.
I mean, I think what you're saying is someone with like a lot of character in their face, right? That's the nice euphemistic way of putting it, right? Where it's like you don't think of them as maybe like conventionally handsome, but there's like there's like a story there when you look at them.
These are actors I love, where when they show up on screen, I go like, "Fuck yeah!" Like in the theater, I like start like high fiving.
Wow, you sound like
Eddie
a great
Marsan.
person to go see a movie with.
Hey, you know for a fact I'm a great person.
You
to go
are.
see
You're
a movie
wonderful.
with. But then you add the amorous level onto it. But I do.
That's a very generous way of putting it.
I feel like film Twitter is like often like running back to you after they've seen a movie with a good.
I do
Karen's
get a
boy.
lot of tweets that are
Mm-hmm.
like, so I just watched this movie and this character actor was in it. Are they a Karen's boy?
We can spoil who it is, by the way. It's Karen.
We said it. We said it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Karen Hines.
Did
Yes.
we say it?
I don't think we
did.
said it.
No.
Kieran Hines? Yeah. He's the
we have
KB
now.
in this movie.
Yeah.
Sean Penn is kind of like the
No.
anti-KB.
He's
right?
awful. I hate him.
Right. I agree, but he's sort of the antithesis.
Why is he the antithesis? He's not that handsome.
Yeah,
he's
he's not that
not.
attractive.
Sean Penn's got a lot of face. I gotta say, I'm sorry, but I gotta say it.
I
He's
agree.
got a lot of face.
I agree, but here's why I think he stands in stark contrast to what makes a true
Karen's
boy.
boys are often like Sam Neill or Vincent D'Onofrio, people who have somewhat cute sort of online, weird sort of doddering online like lives. You know what I mean?
did get roasted for like a full month around Dunkirk because like every time I'd bring up Mark Rylance, they'd be like, Mark Rylance has one bit and it's just doddering old fool and you love
On
it.
screen, he definitely leans into. But anyway, sorry, carry on, Griff.
My point is, Sean Penn acts like he's sexy.
Oh.
Sure. Well, I think there was a time when Sean Penn was sexy. Like the 80s is what I'm referring to.
Sure, and I know people who found him attractive before he turned into a lived-in shoe.
With the mustache.
Right?
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
A decent shoe that has outstayed its welcome.
By far.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A mid-level leather boot.
I like this article.
Oh, the one about Chapo?
Yeah.
Was it about
Groundbreaking
Chapo?
stuff.
I don't even remember.
Mhm.
I think there's that Sean Penn thing where he's like,
They're not people who present themselves as being sexy. Like it's not a
Sure.
attitude
That's a good
thing.
way to put it.
and it's
right.
that movie star thing of Sean Penn being like, I'm a fucking movie star. And what you like about Karen's Boys is they're just hardworking, nice men who do their job. And even someone like Sam Neill who like becomes a leading man kind of unconventionally in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Sure.
He still approaches it like a Karen's boy. He's not showing up.
He's just doing the work.
He's just doing the work.
Which is actually kind of a classic Spielberg-y thing, because you think of Richard Dreyfuss. Is he? I mean, yeah, exactly. Like,
Right.
you know, he liked the sort of the everyman type
Right.
leading man.
Heard that.
right. Right. But you
Only you.
You like-
Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Drey. Oh, bring it. Yeah. Especially now he's old and kind of liver spotted. Yeah.
remember when he played Dick Cheney?
Yeah, it's a weird performance.
Very weird.
It's one of those performances where you're like, yeah, I get it, Richard Dreyfuss. You hate Dick Cheney. You know what I mean? Like he's leaning a little too much into like, I don't think this is a human being.
There's that
And I love Richard Dreyfuss.
There's that
I love
scene
him.
where he holds up the sign with an arrow pointing to him that says, "Ain't I a stinker?"
That's a fucking weird movie. Who plays Colin Powell in W? Now I'm trying to
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. And yeah.
Who's a real Griffin's boy. Like that's like one of those character actors
he's
when he
great.
shows up
He's
on
great.
screen. I saw whatever it was, the second Hunger Games with the lady I was dating at the time, and when he showed up on screen, I literally went, "Fuck yeah!" And she turned to me and said, "I thought you hadn't read the books." And I was like, "I haven't. That's just Jeffrey Wright. He's one of our finest actors."
Because I just remember W kind of makes it like a little too easy, where it's like Colin Powell is sort of the
know
audience
about
is supposed
this.
to like be invested in him, and Dick Cheney's like the let's bomb.
Sorry, he's the what?
He's the guy.
Tandy Newton kills it in that though.
I think that movie is weird, and I barely remember it.
She always kills it.
Yeah, I think she's really good. She's a GG actually. That's what we should be talking
Griffith's
about.
Girl?
Griff's Girls.
Let's just
Okay, so The Weight of Water. Yeah, please.
let's talk
hurry
about
along
Griffin's
because
Girls.
everyone wants to hear us talk about this movie.
You're right.
It stars a big GG, Sarah Polley.
Yeah, I love Sarah Polley, and
She's
this is
so good.
She was cast right off of I would The Sweet Hereafter, which is sort of her break. You know what I mean? Like Sweet Hereafter comes out in '97,
And Guinevere too was like kind of a big thing for her.
Guinevere. I don't even know what that is.
That was what's her name? That was like a big like indie
No, I
movie in,
believe
like,
you. I just don't know it.
99. Yeah.
Guinevere.
Look up who directed. Someone
Audrey Wells.
who did something else.
Under the Tuscan Sun.
Oh yeah,
Can
that's
you
what I
star
was-
69 Italy?
Yeah, I guess
That's the
so.
question it asks.
I
The
guess
question
so.
Sandra Oh and that movie asks. Can you star 69 Italy?
We still have yet to answer
We
it.
just don't know.
But a
I've
weird
never heard of this movie.
ensemble cast.
In The Weight of Water?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Lucas, Karen Hines, Sean Penn,
Elizabeth Hurley.
Elizabeth Hurley.
Elizabeth Hurley, kind of right at the tail end of her fame.
Well, in terms of when it came out, but when it was shot, it was at the peak of her fame. That's the weird thing.
Do you think it was at the peak of her fame? I mean, it's at the peak of her being in big movies, I guess.
I would argue it's the peak of her fame because if they shot this movie in 1999, this would have been when Austin Powers was like at peak level. And I know
When
she's
was
barely in the
Bedazzled
second
again?
one, 2000.
Okay.
Bedazzled is 2000.
Because Powers
I
comes
saw
out.
that in theater.
Powers comes out in 97, obviously, but like does okay in theaters and then is a humongous video success. So it took a year or two before like she got the full benefit of the Powers bump.
Sure.
I would argue.
I understand what you're saying, and she's in Ed TV,
Right.
which she plays a similar role as she does in The Weight of Water, essentially the temptress.
Right. Bedazzled, Serving Sarah. That's like her run of big studio comedies.
But I think her most famous moment is wearing a really famous dress in 1994 and everyone going, who the fuck is that? And like that, I mean, a dress that's so famous it has its own Wikipedia page.
Wait,
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any of this.
This is a very famous dress.
Black
I am not
Versace
talking out of
dress
my
of
ass.
often
Elizabeth
referred to
Hurley.
as that dress.
That
Yes.
dress.
Wow.
Which, like,
Not
I think
the dress.
it was the premiere for Weddings at a Funeral. She was in a relationship with Hugh Grant,
Because for
which
a while
wasn't
she was
for a
more
very long
well
time.
known. She was kind of Sienna Miller,
Sure.
where like Sienna Miller,
More?
I felt like
Scroll down.
because Sienna Miller had her whole public thing about her with Jude Law before she had ever been in a movie that anyone had seen. I felt like it took a while for her to get out of the shadow of being like a famous
Jude Law's girlfriend.
right.
Yeah, that's true for her, and I think
Hurley, I think, had that for like 4 years.
It's definitely true for Elizabeth Hurley because not only was so he steps out with her at the Forwarding's funeral. She's wearing this very famous dress. Oh, Ben, have you never seen this dress? It's a great dress. I mean, now I'll admit I grew up in Britain at like the height of her fame as like an ingenue. Like
You
so,
lived
Britain.
in Britain?
Yeah.
Never heard of
Wait,
it.
really?
I think this is a bit because if he'd lived in Britain, he would have brought it up before now.
For
This
sure
is-
he would
Yeah,
have. It wouldn't be like a recurrent question from us.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So and then you're right. It took a while for her to be in big movies.
Right.
Because her breakout definitely is Austin Powers,
Which
97.
He's very, very good in. I
You
rewatched
think
that
she's
movie
very
recently.
good in
yeah,
it? She's good?
I was kind of taken aback rewatching with how good I think she is.
Weirdly, that's the Austin Powers I've seen the least. I've only seen it like a couple times.
It's so good.
It is good.
It really is. Like I feel like we've gotten to
How do you
the
guys feel
point
about
now.
Austin Powers?
It's good. I've seen
I've-
that one.
Never seen any of them.
Really?
They're so young, Griffin. It's so fucking upsetting.
I've only seen the like, yeah, baby clip, and that's about it.
Great clip.
Both of you are 12. We should mention that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I will say I rewatched Austin Powers because it was a very big movie to me growing up. And the sequels, I think, are diminishing returns with solid bits in them, but aren't really fucking movies. But I rewatched the first one, and I think we've gotten to a point in culture where we are far enough removed from uncles doing Austin Powers and Dr. Evil impressions all the time that the movie can kind of be viewed
It can
purely
breathe
again.
a little more. Sure.
And I think it's really fucking strong as a comedy. I encourage people to rewatch or watch
All right.
Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. But Elizabeth Hurley, I think, is really strong in a tricky role.
How do you feel about her in My Favorite Martian?
Incredible.
I've seen that movie, but I don't remember.
My Favorite Martian was my birthday party that year.
Hey, man, 1998. So you would have been like 9 or 10? Yeah.
8, 9. I would have been 9.
I'm sorry. It's 99.
Then I would have been 10.
You would have been 10.
I wanted to do a movie party because that felt like I love movies. Why would I go to a place that isn't a movie theater for my birthday? And that was the only thing that came out in February.
Oh, gosh.
February 12th, 1999.
I had very good luck in that sense because I did kind of the same thing while I was growing up. I was like, my birthday's in May, so it's when all the big studio movies come out. So I'd always have a Marvel movie. It was terrific.
See, I for my 13th birthday, waited until Spider-Man came out.
Oh my God.
So my birthday was in February and I didn't have my party until May. And everyone showed up and they were like, wasn't your birthday like... I vaguely remember at school saying happy birthday to you less than a year ago.
Yeah, but Spider-Man.
You also
He's my
once
guy.
changed your birthday on Facebook to get a free meal at Medieval Times. Am I correct in saying that? And then I wish you a happy birthday on Facebook. I remember that.
That is correct.
I remember that.
That is correct. So this was several years ago.
Okay, never mind. You guys did something similar this year, I feel like.
I was going to Medieval Times with a bunch of my friends in Toronto, and we knew there was a discount because it was like 13 of us, and no one wanted to go, and I was like, what if I pay for everybody?
Oh my God.
Wow.
And then everyone was like, yeah. And I was like just at the tail end of my Mulaney money, which was like running dry pretty quick.
You were just like putting it all over town too?
Yeah, it turns out they don't keep paying you if you get fired from a sitcom.
You're kidding.
So I had the money from the pilot and I was like, I'll never run out of money again. And then I was running out of money, but I offered to pay for everyone for Medieval Times. I was like, fuck, I bit off more than I could chew. How do I get a discount here?
That place doesn't strike me as cheap either.
No.
It's not like $15 for everybody, right?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, how much is Medieval Times?
Too much. So I was like, it's someone's birthday. And they were like, okay, great. What's the name of the birthday person? And I was like, me, Griffey Nooms.
Turn your iPad off.
I'm sorry.
Fucking monster.
And they were like, okay, you're going to have to show proof when you get here. And I was like, oh, fuck. So then I changed my birthday on Facebook so that I'd have a whole wall and I could just be like, hey, I'm from America. I don't have ID, but here's my Facebook wall. But then I got stressed out that it wasn't enough.
Right.
I don't think I've told you this part.
Maybe not.
I took my passport. We went to the local copy shop and I wrote out fake numbers. And I taped them to my passport and then photocopied it 4 times so it got degraded.
Oh my God.
So I could bring
So
the
you had like a
photocopy.
photo. Wow.
A fake passport.
How did it look?
I did it with my friend, and like he was like, "Wow, you did a really good job with that." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I mean,
Like you've
and he's
done
like,
this
do you do
before.
visual art?" And I was like, "Kind of. I mean, I like drawing a lot, but I don't really show my work to
It sounds
people
like a great
because
conversation.
I like it to be something that I do just for myself and not for validation, unlike all the other things I do in my life." And then we like walked back. We were so proud of it, and I showed it to the group, and everyone's like, "That's the worst fucking thing. You're gonna get arrested if you bring that."
Medieval Times.
Yes. So we didn't
You
bring
committed like customs fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't bring the passport.
Sure.
We went there. They didn't check anything.
Right.
All my friends got angry because I had faked my birthday, and now every year on my birthday, people go like, "Is this the real
Oh,
one?"
God.
It's true. You can only pull that once.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my friend Taylor, I believe, still has my fake passport on his fridge
Oh.
because he thinks it's funny how bad it is.
35 minutes in, have not discussed. Well, to be fair, I think we recorded for a bit without starting.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe
would say
the episode's not
conservatively
that
5
long.
minutes.
Ben's looking at his phone. He literally replied to a tweet recently, like on air.
So it's time to talk about Kingsman now, right?
Yeah.
Now that we're 30 minutes
Oh yeah,
in?
let's talk about. Oh no, but Emma hasn't seen it, so
haven't
we
seen
have
it.
got to keep this brief.
Okay.
Kingsman: The Golden Circle, bad movie.
I'll
Great
just go
movie.
on. I'll be on Twitter.
Mixed movie.
Sure. Okay.
We're
So
the
there we
three
go.
genders.
That's our discussion of Kingsman: The
I saw
Golden
it
No,
for
but
Circle.
the second time yesterday.
You saw it twice?
No, I know. I assume you went to the press screening the
I
first
did,
time,
yes.
so it's like you only
I
paid to
paid
see
for
it
once,
once.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but then you had to see it with the fans.
Weirdly, the press were having a better time with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Where'd you see it? What theater?
The first time or the second time?
Second time.
84th Street, AMC.
Good theater. Solid theater.
Good theater,
Great
but
seats.
right, maybe the crowd not so
Yeah.
raucous.
Can be a
Yeah.
limp crowd there sometimes, I
Yeah,
found.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Although I remember seeing X2 X-Men United there. Boy, the place was lit.
Jacked up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jacked up for X2.
Oh, yeah.
But but it's bad. It's bad. I hated it. I was surprised how much I hated it because I really liked the first one.
Okay.
Griffin, you are in the middle here.
What
do you think of Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
I enjoy things about it. I remember when the first one came out and people were like, ooh, there's a lot of ideological stuff in this movie that's kind of icky.
Which is worse than the second one.
Right.
Which the first one, right. Yeah, the first one definitely is having fun sort of playing on that edge or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like nowhere near as skillfully, but the first one danced around Verhoeven stuff. Where it was like, the difference between
where he's like, look, this is what they do. Like
depiction
and
endorsement. It felt kind of honest, and I
like that.
Well, because like the first one's a Bond parody, right? And so like the villain in the first one, you're kind of like, I don't know, is he even bad? Like, is this mission even like definitely evil? And they're like, yeah, no, it is. We got to kill him, blow everyone up. Like, it's fine. Just like total ultra violence will take care of it.
The bottom line is just like, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
I liked all of that. I liked that dance the movie was doing. I understand why people don't. I understand, the frustration over like, does Matthew Vaughn actually even care about anything, or is he just a provocateur? Is he just trying to piss people off? Is he a regular Ricky T. Jokes?
He made Stardust. He's got to care.
Right. And I feel like he walks a very fine line, which Verhoeven did with his Hollywood films as well, where he like cares about his characters as people, even though he despises what they represent. Which I find very interesting when filmmakers are able to pull that off.
I get you. Because he definitely cares about Eggsy.
Right.
And I think Taron Egerton is very charming.
Right. And
he's Eggsy. Is it Eggy?
Well, the point is he keeps on...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Griff gets it.
Yeah, Griff gets it. GGI. But I think, and I think some of the stuff he's getting at in the movie in terms of class and behavioral, socioeconomic,
It's a lot more interesting in the first one.
Yes. And in the second one, I feel like they kind of throw everything out the window and just do a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
There are too many ideas that aren't really tied to anything. And it's frustrating me because the Statesman stuff, which I think mostly just feels like a lark and set up for a third movie, is never really properly integrated into it.
Oh, yeah. That was... I was like, why does... sorry, carry on.
Is really frustrating because I felt like it was right there to actually do a thorough dissection of the differences between the classic male archetypes in British culture and American culture.
That's what I was hoping for.
I think Colin Firth shouldn't have been in the sequel.
Yeah.
I think the entire second film should have been him teamed up with one statesman, not this fucking like back and forth between Channing and Pedro.
Yeah.
Who both I think are solid in the movie, but it's just like too much shit going on.
Fine. Although I thought Julianne Moore was kind of half-assed.
Loved her in it.
Yeah.
Loved her.
I think it was Cam who said something like, I feel like she showed up and then she was like, all right, you guys get one take. That was it.
Yeah. I did not like
loved her in it. I was really happy with her work.
I liked her vibe. I loved it.
Really bummed out when she disappeared for like a full hour.
Yeah. But that would happen to like everyone who wasn't an OG, like Kingsman.
Right. Because they were just like, let's just have everyone
I feel like I'm talking about the movie like
minutes.
I don't like it, which is misrepresenting how much I liked it.
Why did you like it?
Life is short, and there are three things I like about this movie, which is Pedro Pascal just throwing all that charm around everywhere.
Sure,
Number
very
2,
charming.
Mark Strong sings John Denver, and number 3, Colin Firth holds a puppy. I don't need anything else out of a movie. I had a great time.
I need more things out of a movie.
It's all the boys. All the boys.
It's all the boys.
You liked all the stuff the boys did.
If Mark Strong releases a single singing John Denver, I'll listen to it.
It's on the soundtrack.
I know it is. I know.
The track is titled No Time for Emotion. Go on iTunes and buy that shit right now.
Yeah. Mark Strong's good. I enjoy Mark Strong in general.
He's so great.
I think he's having fun in that movie, and he actually gets a little to do.
Yeah.
Unlike most people in the movie. But there's something about... I mean, I really just think it's buying into its bullshit. That's my thing.
I would agree with that.
It's like, the first one was like, no, we're a broad parody. We can get away with everything. And the second one's like, but, the Kingsman lore is definitely interesting. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It's not interesting. I don't care.
I also, I like the final joke at the end of the first Kingsman, which I know most people hate. Because I like how disgusting it is.
Well, no,
like,
again, this
not
is
in a
the
shock
this is
factor
the,
way,
the,
but
the, what they're doing. They're like, hey, James Bond always gets laid at the end of the movies, and it's always kind of weird and gross.
Right.
So he's getting laid, and it's going to be even weirder and grosser. Do you like that?
Right. I don't like...
isn't that the bit Matthew Vaughn's doing? That's Mark Millar's whole dumb
which
thing.
I hate, and I think Vaughn is usually able to filter the Miller
the
stuff
needle, sure,
better.
Right.
Miller has no subtlety. He does not have a steady hand.
No, you don't
with
think
that stuff.
Kick-Ass is a subtle?
Yeah. But then there's the bit where they have to plant the homing device
That was
in Kingsman
insane.
2, which like for me is like, well,
Okay.
now I can't even defend the joke at the end of the first one because
No.
it feels like you had no idea what you were doing.
For context.
Oh, I know. I
Okay,
heard about
great.
this.
It's
This
a
is the
fucking
one part of the
nightmare.
movie
No,
that
we
I
did
did
talk
It's
hear
a
about
about.
this. Okay, yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah, apparently Taron Egerton refused to film that scene.
So
Did he
then
really?
what happened?
They brought in the actress's husband.
No.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, I respect Taron Egerton more now.
Yeah.
He's a good boy.
He's a good boy.
Also, apparently the movie had a bunch of Trump jokes that they decided to take out.
I'm not surprised because Bruce Greenwood is
Bruce
doing like
Greenwood.
his.
He's doing like
best.
a
It's
quasi-Trump,
weird, 'cause
he's
which
like-
is weird because the first movie blows up Barack Obama.
Yeah.
His head explodes.
That's the thing.
So the second one, they're like, I don't know, Trump might be a little tricky to do though. Really?
well, it's like you have Bruce Greenwood.
Lily
like,
Allen's dad gets fed into a meat grinder, and then Julianne Moore turns into a burger.
Yep.
but it's
That's
like
like
Someone
Burger
eats
Report.
it.
yes, it is Burger Port. The character is written like Donald Trump, but then Bruce Greenwood plays it like W.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
he
weird.
does. Yes, yes.
Which
He's
is
got the
weird.
southern accent. Yeah, for
And
sure.
even just the way he's
Yeah, the
styled,
sort
the,
of swagger.
demeanor,
Right,
the
right,
physicality, and everything. Yeah, it made me like the first one a little bit less because
Same.
now I wonder how much of that was intentional. Like
Right.
a lot of the stuff that was murky in the first one, where for me I was like, that's the point. You shouldn't be enjoying this shit.
Right.
Now I'm like, wait, I think he wants us to like everything.
Mm.
The Weight of Water.
I
Yes.
have a segue
No,
for a
please.
new movie that has also recently come out that Emma saw that I have not seen, which I thought of while watching The Weight of Water, which is that while watching The Weight of Water, I was like, Sarah Polley is living through what my understanding of Mother is.
We haven't talked about Mother on this fucking podcast either.
We'll
So
talk about
that's my
it.
segue to two different things.
I don't think that's true though. Have you've seen Mother?
Yeah,
You liked
yeah.
Mother.
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
The more I think about it, the more annoyed I become with it. But
Why?
I did enjoy it. Because I don't know. And maybe it's just because
Is
of
it
all
just
the,
because Darren Aronofsky's like walking around town like
he's just like
being
enjoying
like, let me tell you what it's about.
annoying everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was
He's doing the opposite of David Lynch.
if he wasn't saying anything about it, I would like the movie
Yeah.
more.
I wish he would
So
stop
Darren,
talking.
Darren, stop talking.
I
if you're-
actually don't care because like directors can say what they want. I don't give a shit. But I also am like, well, you can say what you want, but I get to think what I think about the movie,
Mhm.
right?
I also, I dislike the movie, but I walked out of it and was like, that's a movie I don't like that I'm really happy exists. Like, I'm
Sure.
happy people
Sure.
are making movies like that or taking swings like that. It's an actual blank check that we don't really get to. I'm sorry, say that again?
No, that's all right.
But his entire response to the press feels like, well, you don't get to make that movie then tell people how they watch it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
right. There's very, I mean,
Because like the whole point of the
a
marketing
movie that's
is like,
supposed to be you get to talk about
Yeah.
it after. It's
Yeah.
supposed to inspire fun conversation.
And there was that recent interview he did where he was like, in one interview said both, like, we knew what we were doing. It's a punk rock movie. It's a punch in the face. Like, you're not supposed to like it. And then also said, like, you know, I'm really frustrated when I see people refusing to engage with the movie intellectually just
it's
because
like,
it isn't the
which
same.
is it? Which is it?
Right. Right. At least Matthew Vaughn is like, I want you to be upset. Like, at least he's consistent being like, I'm a fuckhead, you know?
I guess so. Yes.
There's
I've read less
Aronofsky.
interviews with him.
Yes. Here's my segue I'm going to do if you're
Great.
ready for this. Do you know that Mark Strong, star of the Kingsman films, was in a punk band in college?
I did know this.
And it was called Private Party because the bit was they didn't want people to show up. So they put signs up where they'd say Private Party tonight at 7 with the location.
Yeah.
So people wouldn't show up because they weren't invited. You know who else was in a punk band when they were young? Good old Liz Hurley
Oh, really?
was in a punk band
Very
called
nice.
Vestal Virgins.
Oh boy,
Okay.
I take it back.
Great. So The Weight of Water.
Yeah, she was a punk. She's from Basingstoke.
She's a punker.
And she says, when I was 16, the thing to be in Basingstoke was punk. So she dyed her hair pink
Of
and
course.
pierced her nose. Super punk. I mean, she was 16.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make fun of 16-year-old
Sounds cool.
Liz Hurley. We all do things at that age.
Really?
Sorry, I'm just reading her. Ben's also just like leaning in to like read Liz Hurley's Wikipedia page with me, which is fine. It's just what are you looking for?
I'm just interested in punk.
Yeah, sure. Well, she's the queen of punks.
Ben, you seem weirdly bored by us not talking about The Weight of Water for someone who has not seen The Weight of Water.
Well, no, I don't know. I'm doing email stuff for work.
Cool.
How far did you get in before you fell asleep?
Like five 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that boring.
But
you were sleeping.
Are you
I
sure
was
it's not
tired.
that boring?
I mean, yeah, okay, it's pretty boring.
I had
pretty
been in
boring.
Boston over the weekend, and I was traveling, and that's
Sure.
my excuse.
Sure. Also, I would say the credits are the most boring part of this film.
Oh God! I texted Emma when I started watching this movie. I was like, "Is this sax music for real?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, the sexy music, yeah." Like,
Over everything,
that-
even the back in time stuff
I
where that
really thought-
instrument doesn't exist.
I really thought
Hey,
it
man.
was just going to be the credits, but it's the whole movie.
the whole
It's
movie.
very.
What if this movie was about the invention of the saxophone? That's like what it's really
the
getting
Kenny
at.
G story.
Yeah.
The saxophone is akin to the
no.
water's weight.
Why is
I
it called
don't
the weight
know.
of water?
No
I
idea.
thought that they would explain that. I thought that would be a line in the movie, but it
And you
never
can
is.
turn and go, "That's the weight of water."
Yeah, like
Right,
whispers
yeah.
to date while
Yeah.
watching. Yeah,
Right. Whispers to date when water is weight. That's the weight of water.
Which also, The Weight of Water sounds like a fake title of a boring drama that someone
does.
wants to
Not
make
even
in
a
a
drama,
satire
like a
about
book.
Hollywood. Like, it feels like the screenplay that Vincent D'Onofrio is trying to get them to read in
Don't
the
rag
player.
on Vincent like this.
Yeah, no.
Right? It's called The Weight of Water. It's a real screenplay.
No, you're right. It's a fake title.
it's fake.
Vince
news.
is a great boy. Vince is a great boy.
Love Vince Vaughn.
All-time great boy.
Vince D'Onofrio. Don't love Vince Vaughn. It's mixed on him.
Stoked for Bronze Cell Block 99 though. It looks good.
Here it is. Violent. What? This is like the fourth time we're going to talk about
know.
that fucking movie.
Why are
Oh,
we
for
still?
real? Okay,
we're
sorry.
only
Keep
talking
bringing
about
it
the
up.
same four things in every episode. We're
I
talking
know.
about Jim
Jim
Belushi.
Belushi, Cell Block 99. But The Weight of Water is based on a book.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, like 20 minutes on, I was like, wait a second, what the fuck is this movie? So I like Googled it. And I
Yeah.
realized it was based on a book, and I was like, that makes total sense. This
Sure.
really feels like a movie that's based on a book.
But it wasn't a hugely successful book, right?
It was pretty well known, I
Really?
think, at the time.
Let's just say
Gone
I
Girl or
haven't
anything.
heard a word about it in my lifetime.
Sure. Neither the book nor the movie.
Exactly.
Book. Let's find
You
out. I
have
want to
to
see if it was like
imagine-
a bestseller.
You have to imagine this was somewhat of a passion project for Bigelow, though.
She loved the book.
Did she? Has she said anything to that effect?
I hunted for interviews with her
Couldn't
about this
find
movie.
anything.
No, I found stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. But it's really hard. I had to
Yeah.
go to like a book. I had to go to like Google Books.
The Wayback Machine?
Damn. Yes.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to look up like how successful books were. But I found her.
Books Office Mojo.
Oh God.
David, check Books Office Mojo.
So
I'm
that's a wrap.
upset. I
Books.
hate you.
Yeah, Karen and I have to go now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go. Everyone's got to go.
Mojo.
Here we go. Catherine Bigelow interviews Google Books. I should have bookmarked this. Like, I'm such an idiot. The Weight of Water. She loved the manuscript when she was shooting
Interesting.
Strange Days.
Okay.
So she read the manuscript in 1994. Now, Catherine Bigelow's mother was a Norwegian immigrant. So I think she was drawn to the story of Norwegian immigrants coming to Smutty Nose
Sure.
Island
Sure.
and just killing each other with chairs.
And boy, are
Great.
the noses smutty in this movie.
Smutty Nose and
here-
Appledore.
Yeah.
I'm quoting this from a book that's like quoting from an interview she gave. My mom's side of the family was all Norwegian, so I grew up with these incredible stories of coming to America and trying to make a life here and how difficult that was, yada, yada, yada. They haunted me. So when I read this manuscript, it was a kind of way to bring mom back to life. It was very personal for me.
Okay.
Had her mother died recently?
She had died recently. Yes.
Okay.
She had passed away while she was making Strange.
There we go. This movie makes 100% sense to me now.
Mhm.
I feel like most
yeah.
filmmakers have that movie where you're like, what was
Yeah,
that? And then
why-
they explain it was about one of their parents who had died right before they made it.
Right.
Um,
I'm trying to find. She had loved Sarah Polley in The Sweet Hereafter. I think she's someone of staggering talent, she says. And she like scraped together money, and this is a Studio Canal film.
Yeah.
Right.
So she
Foreign
like,
film, she had some decent sized stars at this moment.
right. She gets it was a $16 million budget. It's all on the screen.
And Strange Days was her big blank check movie, and it bombed.
It had bombed.
And it got a very middling response at the time. So
So maybe she had to, rather than going to another studio.
you imagine
like,
that she would want to just go back to basics, make a real contained adult drama just to get her feet back on dry land. But also,
Oh, boy.
also, pun not intended for your information.
Thank you.
Pun not intended.
Thank you.
But also, if you like compare this to Elizabethtown, which is Cameron Crowe's dead parent movie,
Sure.
Like this doesn't feel as like
Didn't
wildly
think I'd
like.
be doing it, but you're right. Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I do feel like I'm not thinking
Elizabeth
about
Town
it.
again. You're like,
Let's
yeah,
get to
why did
Elizabeth
you write
Town.
this fucking movie?
But-
And then
But
he's
there
like,
are a
well,
lot
my
of
dad
movies like
died.
that where I feel like I've heard directors afterwards when they were like, what was the fucking point of that movie? They're like, my dad just died and I was trying to sort through these emotions
Sure.
and I didn't really know what I was doing at the time.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
I get that on some level for this movie in
Yeah.
terms of like all the Norwegian stuff, but the stuff with like the boat is incomprehensible to me.
Which
it's and again in a book I could see this because it's all
Oh, for
internal
sure, yeah.
and right you're cutting
but
books
like it took like an hour in the movie to figure out why they were cross-cutting. I was like,
Agreed.
what is the point of these
I don't
two
think
storylines
you
being
ever
together?
really figure out why they're
But I
cross-cutting.
also-
I mean yeah
I think she probably read the book and was like, wow, this Norwegian story is amazing. Fuck, I guess I gotta make the boat stuff too.
Right, and it's like you don't have to.
Right.
It could have
Right,
just been a period
that's true.
film.
She could
Yes.
have made a movie about
'Cause it's based
this
on true story.
True story.
Right.
This
I would've loved
mysterious
that.
murder case.
Mhm.
I did think near the beginning, I was like, this is like watching a bad episode of like Masterpiece Theater, which I'm totally down for, but I only want to watch Masterpiece Theater. I don't want to watch Days of Our Lives.
That
as
was
well.
the complaint that most critics had. I was going back to reviews at the time and they were like, why is this other shit in the movie?
Yeah.
Like the real story is kind of fascinating.
Let me explain.
Please.
Please.
We are connoisseurs of context.
We are connoisseurs of context.
And I just want to explain what the plot of the movie is because no one's going to watch it anyway, and I might as well just lay it out for our listeners.
I mean,
Do
Suzuki
it without
watched
looking
it,
at the Wikipedia.
Sure. So
wow. Okay, here we go.
you've got parallel storylines. The
Uh-huh.
modern day storyline, you've got Catherine
Hashtag
McCormick.
the two storylines.
Exactly. Catherine McCormick. That's her name, right? Or is it
She a
Carolyn?
Braveheart.
It's Catherine.
Catherine.
I think it's Catherine McCormick
Yeah.
of Braveheart fame. Not a big actress. Bigger in Britain.
In those couple of years after Braveheart,
She's
she had some
around.
heat.
Yeah.
She weirdly, this is one of the last big
Yeah.
things she
She
did.
doesn't like to do movies. I read an interview with her.
Oh,
I'm
what
sure
did she
after
do
something
instead?
like this,
Yeah, but
I wouldn't
either. She
tread the
just-
boards?
She does a lot of theater.
Okay.
She
Oh,
just rarely does.
She treads the
movies.
board. She treads the
Got
boards.
it, got
She's
it.
a board treader.
Don't worry.
Famed board
Yeah,
treader.
don't worry.
She plays.
She's treading the boards. She's treading the boards. Don't worry about Emma.
Oh my god, she plays a photographer who is working on a story about this famous 19th century murder case.
Because
in
photographers
New England.
usually
I also do
research
have a
story.
follow-up question about this, which is like, how famous is this murder case? Because number one, I had never heard of it.
It's
again.
quite famous.
And number two, the Wikipedia article, as Emma and I were discussing prior to recording, is a stub.
Is shorter than the article on Liz Hurley's dress.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, there's not a lot of
okay.
information about it.
There isn't, but I mean, I think if you go there, whatever, it's a locally famous.
There's a lot of
murder
okay.
case.
There's a lot of weird websites about it. I found like while looking through the Wikipedia, like the stuff that they reference, and I was clicking on it, and it's all like websites that were made 10, 15 years ago.
Back when half the internet was
Like-
just people trying to figure out
Was it
old
like
murders.
Angel
Yeah.
Fire sites?
Yeah,
but
it was
but,
that
I
kind of
mean,
thing.
how many murders from the 19th century do people talk about today? You know, it was a famous enough case that it is still
Conservatively, too.
the most famous murder case in that area.
It was probably, it probably was the
Shrug.
biggest murder case in Smutty Nose, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say like you mean
On
like
a
just
now
Maine.
uninhabited island
Yeah.
What's
off
Snotty
the
Nose on the
coast
map?
of Maine. Anyway, so she's a photographer. She's researching this murder for some reason.
Right, because just to be clear, she's a photographer who is researching a story that happened centuries ago that she would not be able to photograph in any way.
No.
But she's going to photograph the island,
Right.
Smutty Nose Island. And so she's with her husband, Sean Penn,
Who sucks?
who
Yeah.
is a poet of some renown.
In my notes, I just wrote Sean Penn weak sauce.
Yep.
He definitely seems like a twerp. She's going on the yacht of Sean Penn's brother, who's played by Josh Lucas.
A very charming man.
Yeah, he's a
Eh.
handsome boy.
I like him a lot.
I like Josh
I like
Lucas a
him
lot now.
Yeah.
This is the era where they're, he's Sweet Home Alabama's right
Manhattan.
around the same time where
Yeah.
they're like, isn't he a handsome? But he's a little bit of a generic brand handsome guy.
Sure.
He's
Glenn
a little better
Talbot,
now that he's
Hulk,
gotten a little more like
Third tier antagonist. He's great in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, he is. He is, and he's part of the best shot in that movie when he shoots the Anyway,
A masterpiece, modern masterpiece.
yeah. Well, let's do Ang Lee. So his brother has a yacht. His brother is married to or just dating?
Dating.
Just
And
dating
they didn't
a woman.
even know. They didn't know he was dating anybody.
Right. She's dating a woman played by Elizabeth Hurley who likes to not wear her top.
Mm-hmm. She loves
the
to not wear
yacht.
her top.
There's something she loves more than not wearing her top,
Is
though.
it ice cubes?
Poetry. Wait, what?
It's ice cubes.
Ice
She loves
cubes.
ice cubes.
Makes
not
it
wearing
easier
her
to weigh
top.
water that way.
Oh shit!
And she loves Sean Penn's poetry and
Loves
really
it.
wants to talk to him about the poetry.
Yes.
So
Oh,
there's this
God.
sort of love rhombus
It's
that's
bad.
like going on this yacht.
I have to admit, also at the beginning, when Catherine's like taking pictures of everyone, I did think it was just going to be like just across the board incest, like the way that she was like taking pictures of Josh Lucas with his shirt off. I was like, okay, something's going down.
They're not
just,
related.
Like, staring at Elizabeth Hurley. She's not technically related to any of those people, but you were not supposed to.
No, there are lines being crossed.
Meanwhile, in the other
There is incest
storyline,
later.
Oh yeah,
right.
This
Not
is
to
where it
spoil,
really gets
but they're-
good.
So they are, and I know, and I guess there's also this sort of trauma in the past of Sean Penn and Catherine McCormick.
That seems like just Sean Penn.
But there are two traumas. One is their
never
Well,
mind.
there's
daughter
one
was
mysterious trauma, but there's also the death of their daughter.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's sort of hanging over them.
But didn't they say the daughter recovered?
But then I wasn't paying attention clearly.
Right, because
I
there's
thought that she had,
there's
but then
the
they
child
talk
back
about her
home.
after that. Like maybe
So is
it's
that a
new
different
daughter?
child?
I'm not keeping track. He talks about the death or hospitalization of one of their children, and Catherine McCormick doesn't like it.
No.
I interpret it as that was a near-death experience that
Fair
she
enough.
then recovered from. Because they do have a
Okay.
kid. They
Yes, they
reference
do.
being back home.
Fair enough.
Well, she has the line though. She was like, he killed a girl, right?
Well,
Right.
that's
the
different.
car
That's the
accident.
That was
car
when I
accident.
That's
sat
the
up
car
in my
accident.
chair and like,
That
I should
comes
pay attention.
Late.
Yes.
Yeah.
They dropped that one late.
Okay.
Ben's looking at his phone. So the 1873.
Stop,
I know,
come
no,
on.
I love it. I love it. I was just.
We don't need another person who
It's
didn't
in color.
see the movie
I'm
to
giving
add to
color
it.
to the listeners.
Scene painting.
Okay, so now here's the slideshow that I brought along. It's in my Microsoft PowerPoint.
In 1873, and I really had to think about who was related to who. I struggle with that the first half of this movie. But
Just
you
the
got,
first half?
You got Sarah Polly. She lives on Smarty Nose Island with a bearded man.
Yep.
They seem to have a fairly loveless marriage,
Oh, like
But
the
he
beer
buys her a
company,
dog.
Smarty Nose.
named after this island. Yes.
Mhm.
Hmm? What were you saying? What did you say? Somebody said something?
Oh, I said he buys her a dog, though, which she does love.
That's the best scene in the movie.
Yes.
Unimpeachably.
Real good dog.
Yeah.
The cutest puppy I've seen in a long time.
And then who shows up on this island but two sisters, one of whom is Vanessa Shaw.
Uh-huh.
And Vanessa Shaw is married to Sarah Polly's brother.
Yes.
And
And the other one is Cartland Cartwright, right?
sure.
Who was
I'm not looking at my computer.
okay, she was one of Mike Lee's big actresses, and she died before this film was released.
Oh, that's sad.
She died of pneumonia. She was
Is
a very
she,
good actress.
wait, is she the one who gets the chair to the face?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She was in Naked and Topsy Turvy.
Right,
Sure.
right.
She was a really good actress. I'm getting her name wrong. Her name is, Katrin Cartledge.
Fair enough. And this whole situation, we quickly realize, is a problem because Sarah Polly and her brother, they
used
had
to bone.
they used to fuck back in Norway,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and they were separated for this reason. And Sarah Polly was forced into this loveless marriage.
Yeah.
But now that they're back together, it's all boiling up to the surface again, and this leads to a murder, a double murder
Yeah.
that Sarah Polly is the only survivor of. That she then fingers Kieran Hinz, who's a local bearded creep.
Who's been trying to slip the salam to everybody.
He's not being a very helpful.
No.
Like, if he
He's
wants
being
to
very
not be
bad.
accused of murder, he's doing a bad job.
Yes. But he's
and-
constantly going around the town just going like, hi, do you mind if I just put my dick here for a minute? Guys, put my dick here for
And
1
so,
minute.
as we see, because the movie is actually cutting between three storylines, in case it wasn't confusing enough, because
Right.
it's kind of cutting between present day, after the murder, and before the
Yep.
murder.
Yeah.
Kieran Hinz gets Heinz. I don't know. how you
Heinz.
say
I think it's
Heinz,
Heinz.
yeah.
gets hanged for the crime,
Yeah.
which is what happened. This guy got
Mm-hmm.
but this guy's protests were so vociferous that everyone believed, like who was there, that he didn't do it, and so that's why the murder sort of remained this like folky
Sure.
People
tale
still believe he
that
didn't do it.
people right.
Yeah.
But he was still a shitty guy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you're gonna
Yeah,
go
but
around
he shouldn't
hanging
have- yeah.
all the shitty guys, Mr. Death Penalty.
I'm just saying, he was no saint, this one.
Sure, but that's not what Bigelow's interested in, I think.
No.
Right? Like, she's interested in these, like, weird, like, tense, ambiguous, romantic dynamics
We've talked about
that
the
are
fact
forbidden.
she's a tension-based filmmaker above all else. And this is more of a psychologically tense movie than she usually does. Usually she has more immediate, visceral, physical threats that are creating the tension around the characters. And this movie is like an internal headspace relationship tension film, which isn't as compelling.
So
Right?
that's the That's the plot of the movie, and
Yeah.
it kind of builds to a climax, but not really.
A storm.
Right,
Oh my
like
God.
in the past, it builds to the murder,
Right, which
Yeah.
is...
which is climactic.
It's
That's the
great.
thing
That
to
bit
build
is
to.
great.
Yeah,
It is.
it's really well done.
I mean, Sarah
Yeah.
Polly's pretty good.
She's
I
amazing.
think she's really fucking good in this movie.
She is.
When's she bad?
Never.
Never.
Never bad.
Do you know she hasn't done a movie since 2010?
Like
What has
hasn't
she
acted
been
in a
doing?
movie.
What?
What has she been doing?
Well, she directed.
She's directed 3 films.
Stories We
Right.
Tell.
Right. I mean, it was and
she's working on Alias Grace coming to Hulu this fall.
Right. Okay, that was the one
Interesting.
that I was thinking of.
as a director.
A writer.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if she's directing it.
She
but
did take this.
She created
Waltz
it
too, which is a really interesting movie to me.
What's an interesting movie?
Take This Waltz. Have you ever
Great
seen
movie.
Take This Waltz?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen all her movies.
Yeah, we met seeing Stories We Tell. Do you
Aw.
know that?
We
That's how
jerked each
David and I
other off
became
at the
friends.
Angelica, watching Stories We Tell.
The first movie that Emma and I ever saw together was Trolls.
DreamWorks Trolls.
God.
DreamWorks
Which I own on
summer
Blu-ray.
movie Trolls.
Justin
We
Timberlake's
got it for David for
Can't
his
Stop Feeling.
birthday.
Shout out to Richard Lawson.
Have you watched
Past and Future Cast?
No, we have
No.
to watch it together.
No.
David.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for everyone
Yeah.
to be able to see it with me.
The 4
Yeah.
friends are all going to watch Trolls.
We are going to
That's
watch
right.
Trolls.
And Ben can come too.
Ben can come too. I'm sure
He's
he will
not
want to.
No, I'm down for Trolls.
But
Excellent.
her 3 movies are Away From Her, Take This Waltz, and Stories We Tell. And
Sure.
I think they're all great movies.
I agree. Yeah.
Take This Waltz is a challenging movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, not in terms of like the content is hard to watch or anything, but like I feel like it's hard to know who to root for. It's like subtle. It's like interior.
I
it's
like
really
that about
good.
it. My only issue with Take This Waltz, I don't like Luke Kirby.
Yeah,
He drives me a little
kinda
crazy.
whatever.
I read that script before it came out and was like, this is fucking incredible. This is one of the best scripts I've ever read. And then the movie I end up feeling a little underwhelmed by just because of that performance.
You know what else is underwhelming is this movie.
Agreed.
The Weight of Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's underwhelming.
But Sarah Polley, I mean, after she had made, everyone kept on saying, like, yeah, she really wants to direct. She really wants to direct. Like, directors who had worked with her said, like, I don't think she likes acting that much.
Oh,
Sure.
interesting.
And then after she made Away From Her, it was like, this is all she's going to do. But it felt like, great, cool, as long as you keep making stuff, which I understand it's not her choice. The realities of the industry are fucking tough.
Well,
to
she's
get
got
stuff
this
made.
TV show coming, which she created. So that's,
Yes.
that's something to look forward to.
It's just a bummer where it's like, I
It is
want to
first
live
rules.
in a world where either we're constantly getting Sarah Polley performances or we're semi-regularly getting Sarah Polley projects.
Mm-hmm.
And the space between the movies that she's making is frustrating just as a fan of her work when she's also not acting,
Mm-hmm.
which if she doesn't want to act, by all means, don't act. But watching this, I was like, oh, fuck, she is
She's terrific.
so
in
good
this.
and does... I think there hasn't been anyone to replace Sarah Polley in terms of what she was specifically capable of doing.
It's quite a hot pick.
Right?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
I think she...
I'd have to think of all actresses and then boil it down to what Sarah Polley was specifically doing.
I think she has a certain like quiet expressiveness.
Yeah.
A very kind of internalized.
Great eyes.
Right.
Big
Super
eyes.
vulnerable.
Big
Even in this
eyes.
movie where she as
should've
the
been in
film
Big Eyes.
she should have been
She
big
should have
eyes.
been in Big Eyes.
As the painting.
Tim Burton's Big Eyes.
Tim Burton's
Very
big
middle of the road movie.
A classic. But as the movie goes on, when you're starting to realize like how
done
much right. I feel like the movie distorts her innate sympathetic, empathetic, vulnerable qualities
Uh-huh.
in a way that makes you realize how powerful those qualities are.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if there's another actress alive today where when they come on screen, I feel that invested in and worried about their well-being
Mm-hmm.
as you do when you're watching a Sarah Polley movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because she just seems so sad all the time.
Mm.
She's got a sad face.
She reminded me a lot of, and I watched this recently, so it's probably why it reminded me a lot of it. But I kept thinking of Sissy Spacek and Carrie.
Sure.
That same sort of look
Highly
of a person.
expressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you want
She
her
looks
to
so
be okay.
delicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Both
just like,
great.
please come. I want to give you a sweater. And like,
Right. And both of them, like,
Yeah, give her a sweater. Carrie really would have, if Piper Laurie had just given her a fucking
she
sweater.
just needed
Yeah.
a sweater.
Yeah, she just needs a sweater.
but there's that.
and adequate feminine hygiene like
Sure.
explanations. But both very pale actresses.
yes.
Very-
There's that moment in this movie after she has, spoiler, slept with Vanessa Shaw,
Sure.
where it's
Literally, though.
Right.
Not like.
right.
She
Yeah.
she tries a little. There's
some stuff.
There's some massaging.
They get a little.
That was
right.
a theme
of-
in
of
this
the
movie.
back.
The massaging.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that.
because it's so intricately linked. Both storylines
Yeah.
where she's like
Get no.
backs. Sorry, carry on.
There's that moment they stay on like a sideways close up of her face
Yeah.
lying in the bed. That
Oh,
starts
yeah.
with
Horizontal.
right Vanessa Shaw massaging
Massaging
her,
shoulders,
and then
yeah.
continues as Vanessa Shaw walks away, and she's talking her off in the distance. and like Sarah Polley barely moves her face
Yeah.
and speaks volumes. Like you're staying on her face for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and you could like zoom in and barely notice muscles.
It's on the poster.
Yeah.
It's on the poster.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, the poster is
the poster's
her
terrible,
doing
though.
that.
You're not gonna
Sean Penn just face. And then Hurley applying suntan lotion
It looks,
in a bikini.
It looks like
this is a complete misrepresentation of this movie.
It looks like a sexy beach movie. Like that does not look anything like the movie actually is.
The sort of the color is like all bronze.
Yeah.
Like it's got this sort of sunny but it looks like the publicity company saw this movie and was like what do we do?
It's a very early 2000s poster where it's like a lot of boxes.
Yeah, remember that? We love to put
Collages.
everything in boxes.
Yeah.
Borders that overlap. Like the same picture, but there's a border in the middle of it. I'm exaggeratedly raising my hands up in the air.
Can I tell you what my relationship was to this movie before watching it for this episode?
Well, you'd wade water like we all have
every day. Every day.
Yeah.
Right. What is the weight
recently
of water?
graduated to ice cubes.
Yes. The problem was I didn't use cups, so I just kept on pouring water on top of a scale.
And just to be clear, 1 liter of water weighs about 2.2 pounds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Is that the missing piece of the puzzle that we need to figure out this movie?
Could have mentioned.
All right, so now that we know that.
All right, what does this mean?
I remember going to see 1 Hour Photo with my father when it came out, the Mark Romanek picture, which we've talked about being totally fine.
Okay.
Right?
That's a movie about a guy who's a creep.
Yes.
Subtle.
So that's like a weird, uncomfortable, like cold movie.
Yeah,
right?
where it's like, what if a guy was a real creepo?
Right. And I was 13.
And then at the end, it turned out he was a creepo, which you already knew. Sorry, carry on.
I was 13.
Yeah.
I desperately want to see this Mark Romanek thriller.
Sure.
Well, you were probably like hyped for like serious Robin Williams and like into the Oscar implications of it, because that's why I saw
that thing. And then also just like I was like 13, I can see grown-up movies as long as my dad takes me.
Yes.
I like movies that are about creepy things, right? So I remember seeing that, which is like not a movie that should appeal to children unless you're a young Oscar handicapper.
Right, exactly.
And even so, like sitting at the Union Square Theater opening night to see 1 Hour Photo and being hyped. When the Weight of Water trailer came on, I was like, oh, that looks like some grown-up shit.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I remember just having this feeling of like, that looks like, that's one step beyond what I, as a 13-year-old, am interested in seeing.
Like you're not far off the mark, though, because like watching this movie, I was like, now that I think about it, I'm like, this is what, as a 13-year-old, I've been like, this is what adult movies are like.
Right. Like if this is the kind of movie I remember like going into my mom's room and she'd be watching something that looked like this on a VHS. I'd be like, what's this? And she'd be like, it's a movie. This director, she was pretty good, you know?
Mm-hmm. And then, like, it's all about these human relationships, that like they're like past traumas and angst.
Because there were times when I was like 8 or 9 where
That's
my
what it's all
mom
about.
would be
like,
well
not
said.
in a good way.
No.
There were those times where I'd be like 8 or 9. My mom would have rented a video from like Couch Potato across the street. And it would be like an Oscar movie that I had heard of that I wanted to watch. I'm like, oh, LA Confidential. That one looks cool. And she'd be like, you can't watch this. It's rated R.
Right.
And I'd try to sneak in. And sometimes I'd walk in and it'd be something that looked like Weight of Water, and I'd be like, I'm good. I'm going to go back to watching Rugrats. Like, I don't need to punch above my intellectual weight class. This looks like some boring grown-up shit.
You know that Mulaney joke about his dad getting 1 cup of black coffee at McDonald's?
Yes.
That's what this movie is, 1 black coffee.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing for children here.
That having been said, I think I like this movie a little more than the three of you.
No,
Really?
I'm not actually. This is like a solid 2-star movie.
I
for me.
think it's 2.5.
Maybe
like,
2.5.
I watched it. I was like, I think this is fine. I mean, it's clearly made by like a skilled craftsman, you know?
No, but it's
woman.
Thank you.
building to something, and then it does. It's like I built to it. What do you think?
Yeah,
and I was
kinda
kind of
ends
like,
See, I give it 2 stars as well, but the thing to note, the context here is that I'm
Rub
a person
that context
who,
against the mic, just so we can hear it.
I can hear it barely. Okay, the context here is that I'm a person who tends to rate in 4s and 5s. I like to like movies.
Sure.
I'm very generous with
Yeah.
my
So this
rating.
is a Karen
to
too.
me, yeah, this is a Karen too.
Wow.
You gotta weigh that down.
Wow.
let me read Emma your review on Letterboxd. Have you seen her review?
I have not.
Everyone should follow me on Letterboxd.
Mm-hmm. Now, Emma, you don't give star rating.
I don't. I used to, but it's
It's a
too
lot of
much
pressure.
work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care.
It's better that way because
Such a
like
nihilist.
yeah.
David Sims owes me $2.99.
Oh, me as well.
Yeah,
I'll be submitting my invoice to you at the end of this episode.
I bought this movie on iTunes because it was so cheap to buy it. It's like $6.
Yeah.
Like, because like they were just like, fuck it, who cares?
Support film.
So I was like, for an extra $2 versus renting and buying, I'll buy it.
Is
So
an
now I
extra
own.
$6 because you pointed out on your Twitter that it is $8.99.
Is it $8.99? No, I think it was less than that.
Okay.
I can't remember how much I spent. I spent less than $10.
Either way, that is a fistful of dollars, David.
I spent a fistful of dollars buying this movie. Call me the man with no name.
My mom used to be on my Amazon account in terms of like streaming. It used to be linked to my account, but she didn't understand the difference between renting and buying.
Oh.
So I would get these emails that I had just purchased The Other Woman.
Great.
And I'm like proud of the curation of my movie collections. Like both my physical media, but also if I go onto my digital, my cloud, I go like, these are all movies I like. And then every time I scroll through, I'm like, fuck, I own The Other Woman and Deadpool.
Deadpool?
Like on opposite ends of the spectrum.
That's no good, but The Other Woman, who cares?
Who cares?
So what? Who cares?
Deadpool was funny.
What?
I laughed. I had a great time.
I thought Deadpool was good. I thought it was funny.
I think Deadpool's fine. I wouldn't own it.
No. I wouldn't own it. I had laughed in the theater.
I sat there and I went, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Congrats on doing that. I know you
liked
hate it,
when
David.
they played Angel of the Morning. Great song.
Sure.
I mean, okay.
Again,
just call me Angel. This, like, yeah.
She knows what she likes.
I was talking to Emma before this podcast, and I was like, I feel like I have like a handful of ways just to piss David off throughout.
Like, it's not like a movie has never played Angel of the Morning before.
No, it's not. But I'm saying like that is a way to get me on board with a movie.
I think the first Charlie's Angels, right?
Sure.
Plays it. Yeah.
Great gig. Yeah, great bit.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you're doing a bit.
I'm not. I think in the Tom Green Chad scene, they just call me
Charlie's Angels, considering that it was directed by McGee and features Tom Green and Matt LeBlanc as two of the three boyfriends, has aged interestingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a movie that really feels frozen in time.
See, here was my shift between the first Kingsman and the second Kingsman.
Oh, God.
All right, go for it.
The first Kingsman, I was like, is Matthew Vaughn Verhoeven? And the second Kingsman, I was like, is Matthew Vaughn McGee?
Yeah, the action...
Right? Do you know what I'm saying? Though?
Yeah, the action in Kingsman 2 is really bad. And it's just him doing the same trick he did in Kingsman 1, that like the fake long shot where his camera's doing all these sort of CGI
which
like
I
swivels.
Find entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining when you see it once.
Sure.
No, I agree with Griff.
I think it's entertaining.
That's my bottom line.
I think it's sloppier in its execution in the second one, and they overdo it, much like they overdo everything. Mm-hmm. You know what? I felt like I needed 6 more instances of Elton John turning to the camera and literally going like,
I will admit, I clapped in delight every time he showed up.
So many times. Like twice within one fight scene.
I did not enjoy Elton John's cameo.
I do know you hated
extended cameo and I love Elton John.
Yeah.
Great.
As a musician.
No, that's my fourth thing that I liked about Kingsman is that Elton John does a fly kick. That's all I need out of the movie.
No, you see,
I gotta see this now.
Yeah, we're going right after this.
If Elton John did a fly kick in Weight of Water, would you give it 5?
Yes, I would. I absolutely would.
I mean, that would be an interesting move.
Elton John showed up playing the saxophone.
If he... What if that was the way they linked the 2 segments at the end of the movie? Was they realized the entire movie was the fantasy of Elton John playing the saxophone and imagining 2 stories that would be soundtracked well by that music.
5 stars, liked on Letterboxd.
Oh my God.
It is weird that like the soundtrack and some of the imagery makes this movie feel very like Red Shoe Diaries. Where it kept on feeling this movie was like going to explode in like torrid sexuality.
That's very generous because again, my point of reference was just masterpiece theater.
Sure.
But like not a good
There's
episode.
A weird seedy thing. Maybe it is mostly just the music.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, there's a back rub and an ice cube.
I was expecting a lot of weird sexy stuff from this.
Right?
And that did not deliver.
It felt like the movie was ready to come out with the weird sexy stuff.
My first note when I started watching this was like, this movie's about swingers. Which turned out to not be true at all.
No.
It's about people who think maybe one day they'll swing. But no, I don't think so.
I really thought everyone was going to fuck.
Well, on the yacht.
Just all at the same time.
On the yacht, it's
Kinda.
definitely...
And it would connect the 2 timelines because then like in the past...
Yeah, it would be like a Sensate orgy scene where
it would be like,
just boning
and they would just and they would do it in exactly the same place because they went
bridged
to
the timeline.
Yeah.
Like if the yacht came to like a time tunnel and like somehow they crashed on Smutty Nose Island and then they all had sex.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my pitch.
Interesting move.
Here's my pitch. The two quartets fuck at the same time.
Yes.
They're cross-cutting. Then suddenly the images start flickering.
God. Like Hannibal sex scene style?
Sure. And it turns out they're like Freaky Fridaying each other. It's like the Jetsons meet the Flintstones and they go back, they switch places. That's not what this
movie's about. See, this
movie's
not a sex thriller.
I'm saying, what if it was?
It's decidedly not a sex thriller.
What if it was a time-traveling sex thriller that became a fish-out-of-water comedy? What are we doing on this boat? What are we doing in Smutty Nose? And Liz Hurley is in Kieran Hines' body. And they're all
she's the one who wants to bone everyone.
Flip-flopped. Yeah.
But this is not that movie. This is a movie where, like, I mean, the crucial final thing is that Catherine McCormick, who has been sort of quietly jealous of Elizabeth Hurley, during this big storm, decides to not warn her that the sailboat's like going to swing around.
Did she come above the cabin because she was seasick? Why did she come up?
Why did Liz Hurley come up? Yes, because she's seasick. She's going to barf.
Why wouldn't you just throw up in the boat if the storm is like this?
Don't want to get the boat dirty.
There's like so much shit that you could barf into and take care of it later.
No, she comes out to throw up over the side of the boat.
Stupid.
Catherine McCormack comes out to rescue her, I guess. But then
she was steering the boat.
She's steering the boat, and she just sort of quietly lets her get knocked overboard.
Oh no.
It's this like sort of murder by omission, right? Like that's like what Catherine Bigelow's trying to build to, this tricky thing that she's sort of doesn't do, but in doing it does do something.
I thought that was going to happen with Penn because she has such open contempt for Penn the whole movie.
Yeah, well, he's a shithead.
Depicted as being such a shithead. I actually kind of like Penn in this movie because I think it's one of the only movies to fully make use of everything that's grody about Sean Penn.
Mm-hmm.
Usually movies ask us to like Sean Penn, even in Mystic River where he's playing like a violent, like sociopathic, like criminal.
Yeah.
You're still like, but he's going through a lot.
So cool, yeah.
And this movie from top to bottom is like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
So I was like all for Sean Penn falling over the side of the boat.
Well, but then he does.
Yeah.
I mean, right? That's the idea. It's like she tries to balance the universe in one way, and the universe sort of balances back at her, and because he goes in to rescue Liz Hurley, and then he drowns.
I think what we're saying is we could have just cut out the middleman here.
That's
like
what
you're saying, just like knock him over with the sail.
Because you want him.
But she wants to make this intimate drama about like, emotional betrayal or whatever.
But it's a drama about, and I have no larger point here, but I just think it needs to be called out, about women murdering other women, or at least attempting to.
Sure, right, because this is cross-cutting with Sarah Polley killing someone with a chair.
Right.
And then killing the next person with an axe.
And men ultimately paying the price.
And then she sits down and has dinner.
Murder. Right.
Ooh, what do they have for dinner?
What does she eat? Or does she just drink tea?
I think she just drank the tea, or at least I was not paying attention for any food.
In the actual murder, there was a meal prepared that Wagner, the guy who did it, ate.
He ate the meal?
He did, yeah. It was like set out on the table for the husbands to like come home and eat it, and he just sort of took a little bit of it with him and left.
I feel like he might have done it IRL. But wait, I had this whole... Well, this is the only movie she's made about marriage.
I did kind of wonder halfway through if this was like gonna turn out to be, and I hesitate to use this word, but like a feminist drama, because like the whole point of Sarah Polley's drama is like she's experiencing this extreme stress at home.
Sure. She's been backed into, except it's incest. So you're not, it's not
well,
like...
it's not just that.
I
though,
know,
but, like,
it's not just that.
Yeah.
It's not just that.
Because the first chunk of the movie before the brother arrives and you start to get those notes, it's just, this is a shitty marriage. She's got
and
a boring
her husband keeps being like, we're going to have some more people staying over. And it's like, no.
One of the saddest sex
Mother.
scenes I've ever
That's
seen
why I was-
in a film. Yeah. But Big Bigelow, Bam Bam Bigelow, has only been married the one time? Is that correct?
The one time?
Am I correct on this?
Let me see. I don't want to... according to Wikipedia, yes.
Which was a pretty short marriage.
Like a couple years. She has been in a very long-term relationship that she does not talk about.
She was
for a very long time
dating Mark Bowl for a while. That was a thing.
I think that's been rumored. I don't know.
I felt like they publicly acknowledged that, and they are no longer dating anymore.
I don't know. Maybe.
I just think, not to overread into it, but I think it is kind of...
We're in the dating segment of the show now.
We do that a lot.
I do think there's something to the fact that she only had one short-lived marriage and has been in a relationship since then, but doesn't seem to be interested in getting married again, and this movie presents marriage as being a bummer.
That's right. That's what I was getting at. This is a movie about marriage that's like marriage is an emotional cage.
Right.
That leads to death.
Yeah.
And despair.
No one else is having a good time either, though.
Well, I think Josh Lucas and Liz Hurley were having an okay time on their yacht
Before
these
bummer
marrieds showed up.
They infected them with married bums. I push my mic away.
I think Vanessa Shaw is happy to be married to the boy.
Oh, she's having a great time.
She's
having an okay time. She's pretty free-spirited.
Yeah.
They are both cute.
They're both very cute.
He is less cute once you find out that he was involved in some incest, though.
Yeah, a little bit less cute.
Sure. I mean, this is not a cute movie.
It's a bit of a red flag for me.
This movie's not going for cute.
No, it's not charming.
This movie is so fucking hard to explain. I watched it with Joanna. She weirdly paid attention. She was baking during the
What did she bake?
Cookies.
Oh.
What kind of cookies?
Yeah.
Chocolate chip.
Oh. And you didn't bring any for us?
No, they are in my home. I had 2 this morning.
Nuts or no?
No nuts.
Well done.
Nutless. So she was sort of in and out, but she watched 70% of this movie. And then at the end, you got your credits rolling, and we were just like, that was weird. It's sort of, I don't know what I'm supposed to take away.
The movie also doesn't really end. It's just like a bunch of things happen and then credits roll.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't want any more from it, though.
No, for sure no. This movie took 5 hours out of my life.
Oh, God. Thanks for
5
being over.
hours. How dare you? It is 113 minutes.
No, it's 5 hours long.
It's not short. I'll tell you what movie took 5 hours out of my fucking life is Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
I will say, despite sitting there pleasantly entertained enough, if not, morally distraught, I did sit there and go, this feels like it's 5 hours long.
For which movie?
For Kingsman 2.
Wasn't it 2 hours and 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Is it 220?
It's 220.
You could have told me that movie was 3 hours. I would have believed you. It felt like
long.
binging
It's a
an
breezy
entire
2.5 hours. Feels like 1 hour of my life went by. It was great.
Felt very long.
Karen's definitely Team Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
You guys hear how long
She's established
Blade Runner
herself.
is, right?
3 hours.
It's like 2 hours 45. Yeah, 250.
I think I might just not do it.
Have you
Really? I hear it's good.
Have you heard how long?
I've heard the opposite.
From who?
I'm not telling you.
Ryan Gosling. Have you heard
My personal friend Ryan.
Have you heard how long Daddy's Home 2 is?
No. How long is it?
4 hours and 56 minutes.
No.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Bella Tarr directed it. You don't know this?
Bella Tarr's Daddy's Home too.
Yeah.
Daddy's Home 2 is the Decalogue of what is it, 2017?
I don't have any real desire to see that movie, but every time I watch the trailer...
What, Daddy's Home 2? That movie looks like a nightmare.
Let's talk about Daddy's Home 2.
Okay, but every time I watch the
reveal
trailer...
of John Lithgow is the most successful
That's the
piece
thing.
of comedy.
Every time I see him coming down the escalator to Love Will Keep Us Together, I'm like, I'm gonna watch
That
it.
bit is so well set up. I went back and watched Daddy's Home 1 because of how well they land that joke in the trailer for
How'd
2.
it hold up?
The first one's solid. I've said this on the podcast. I'll say it again. First one is totally solid character-based comedy.
All right, I have to speak about this. I have to
Daddy's
speak on
Home
the
2?
record. Because I did not see Daddy's Home because I didn't want to, right?
Right. Despite the fact that Sophia Coppola says one of the best movies of the 21st century.
Right. Then she said that, and then on our Memento episode,
Amy Nicholson
stands for the movie because she likes John Cena.
Right.
And you said what you just said, which
solid.
is it's solid. I put that shit on. 15 minutes in, I was dying. That movie sucks.
Not true. Not true. It's solid.
I hate movies. One, I hate movies that...
Stop there.
I hate movies now. I hate movies, one, that spend the first half hour setting up a premise that it takes 1 minute to get.
You gotta live with those
25 minutes
characters.
in, they're like, so, the thing about it is, Will Ferrell's kind of a stick in the mud, and Mark Wahlberg's kind of a bad boy, and I'm like, no, I get it.
David, you gotta live with these characters to really get them in your bones.
Number 2,
You gotta emotionally invest in them.
I really usually just don't like the Will Ferrell plays the straight arrow thing.
You love Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights is amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say,
wacky Ferrell.
that is the Ferrell that you're looking for.
That's a good call. But, I'm trying to, because I think there is one Ferrell movie
Other
where
guys?
Yeah, but that's Keaton. But the whole point of Other Guys is that character is a psycho, right? Which I love.
See, I like straight man Will Ferrell.
I don't like straight man Will Ferrell because name me some straight man Will Ferrell movies.
Stranger Than Fiction.
That movie rules.
I'm not because best friend in fiction. Other guys, I do. I mean,
movie.
yes, it is true that he is
that movie.
technically a psycho in the other guys, but in
Yeah, the
terms
bit
of,
where he goes, America! Like, the whole point of that movie is that Mark Wahlberg is secretly the straight man.
right.
Because the scene where they have dinner with Eva Mendes
Yeah.
is the one where Mark Wahlberg realizes, like, oh, wait a second, this guy is not what he appears. He's out of his mind.
Sure.
And
his
I'm
whole-
the one who's trying to point this out, and no one will
His whole
acknowledge it.
backstory and all
Right.
of that. I'm trying to think what other feral straight man movies are. I mean, I just felt like on SNL, he was one of the best straight men they ever had.
That's true.
That
Yeah.
was the key to his versatility.
Right. I mean,
was
like,
that,
you mean,
yeah.
like, Will Ferrell as Alex Trebek
Oh
is
my
like
God.
one of the great straight men.
right.
That's
history.
very true.
Yeah.
But a whole movie, but I hate it when he's cheerful. Cheerful straight man, you
I
know?
like that.
Because Trebek is kind of the sort of buttoned up, like, kind
Right,
of
he's bottled.
raging straight man.
Yeah.
Straight.
Because
You know, we don't give SNL enough credit for
go ahead.
keeping the mustache on Trebek even after
he
real life.
shaved it.
Yes.
That was
I agree.
because they just
The
doubled
mustache
down.
is crucial.
Yes.
Crucial.
They doubled down on like this is its own character. Like
Yeah.
this has so little correlation
It's
to the
not
real
that
Alex
anymore,
Trebek
yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, straight man Will Ferrell. Anyway, it's a good argument to have.
Yeah,
I like
but
it.
I'm really not interested in Daddy's Home 2. When Linda Cardellini calls, did she call him a snowflake or a cuck? I can't
Snowflake.
remember.
Yeah, it's bad.
she should have such a good career.
Yeah,
She
what
doesn't.
the F happened?
I don't know. You know what happened? 10 years
she
on
broke up with
ER.
Jason Segel.
Oh,
No, that is not why.
I know. That's the dirty
We're
rumor.
back to date talk now.
I do think that ER,
Some more of
ER kind of handcuffs any actor.
And it
who's
was
in
kind of like
yeah.
a pit. Like she like spent like 10
She
seasons
also
probably
had,
making an
it wasn't
ungodly
10.
amount of
She's
money.
on it for like 6. But like she had a rough character too. Her character was like the character who was always like bad boyfriends and like it was she
Sure.
was quote unquote kind of a little trashy and it was like really bad.
I think she's done some good work.
She's
since
good
then. I mean,
on
she was
ER, to be
great
clear.
on Mad Men.
Yeah.
I think she's the best part of Avengers 2.
Uh,
To the extent I wish the rest of
That's
the
not
movie
a
was
high
about
bar.
her when she entered.
James Spader is the best part of Avengers 2.
Linda Curling's best part of Avengers 2.
Andy Serkis is best part of Avengers too.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
No, he
Least
is
surprising
not.
opinion
Here we go again.
of all time.
God.
What a KB.
Oh yeah,
She's great in Brokeback.
Let me ask you a question.
sure.
Is Jeremy Renner a KB, or does he cross the threshold into being too much of a movie star? Because he feels like a tweener to me.
He is a bit
He's
of a
a
tweener.
tweener.
He's back and forth. I loved him in American Hustle, but I haven't felt like anything has measured up to how much I loved him in that movie.
Because like Born Legacy is probably a total turnoff for you.
Yeah, it's bad.
But then you see him in like American Hustle, and you're
Yeah,
going like,
that pompadour really did it for me.
smells like a KB in the
His
air.
is the best performance in American Hustle.
He's great.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He needs to do more. Like basically, if you dress any actor up to look like they're doing a character actor bit, I will love it. Like
He said it
guaranteed.
before.
Emma Stefansky.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Jeremy Renner?
I
just wanted to give
love
Emma
him.
the floor for a second.
Oh, I think he's great. I think he's very talented. I think he's very funny. He's very funny in a very subdued way, which I like a lot in
I agree.
Mission
Mhm.
Impossible.
Mission Impossible. I
Agreed.
knew you were going to say it.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I
He's
think
funny in those movies, and I'm
He's
worried
really
about
good.
him not being in six.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, because who they replaced him with? Cavill?
Yes.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, but that mustache.
Stash Cavill.
That's Dash. That's Dash up.
Emma gets it.
My thing
Love
with Jeremy Renner, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He is one of our finest character actors.
He's great.
No, we agree on this.
He almost always is misutilized as a leading man,
Yeah, he
except
suffers.
for the one film we're going to talk about in this miniseries where he's incredible.
She's so good.
Yeah,
Right.
he's terrific.
But everyone went after that. Oh, I guess he's a leading
People
actor.
misread that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm good. Yeah.
Water.
Water.
It's heavy.
I like water normally, but I like wet stuff. I like wet movies.
It's a wet movie.
But
This
this
is a
big
wet
storm.
movie.
But
The
this is-
credits all take place underwater and you still fell asleep.
yeah, no.
To be fair, the credits are sleepy.
So sleepy.
You're a big snoozer.
The
I don't think I
credits,
paid attention to the credit. This is just like water.
it feels
Yeah.
like an Enya music
Shimmering
video.
water.
It's like artifacts
That's
underneath
exactly
the
what
water.
it is.
Right?
Yeah, and then they just bring up some like
Yeah.
Isle of Shoal articles, like under like
Yeah.
It's like watching a PowerPoint presentation.
I went and like made myself dinner while the credits were going.
Hey, what about that dumb thing in this movie where they like sometimes freeze frame in the middle of a scene?
Oh god,
yeah.
that was
and
awful.
you think your player's just freezing up, but it turns
Yeah.
out to be a deliberate choice. And then she has that later line where she says, I remember when we met, and you said we're both just trying to figure
Yeah.
out how to stop time.
Yeah, but the they like stop freezing stuff. They freeze stuff at like the
do
first
it like
10 minutes
3
and
times.
then never again.
Yeah, and then they never do it again.
Do they make the noise like it's a photograph? Like
no,
they didn't, and that's
just
what I thought it
stops.
was going to do because she's a photographer,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it would make sense.
She also the weird like negative shot she does when she cuts to the murder
Sure.
of the house where it's like, you know, that's weird too.
Yeah, I agree.
She makes some odd camera
The stuff, and I'm just remembering this now because I totally forgot about it until now. But the stuff, I think, like the actual murder part that isn't at the end, like the stuff that you see before.
Yes,
I think
right, early on too.
when it's like when they're going through the whole like, oh, he did it, blah blah blah, and that the way that stuff is shot is actually really interesting. I liked those bits. It was very like a Murnau movie.
She's a good director.
She's a decent director. I think the murder scenes are pretty effective.
I agree. And I also feel like even in some of those boat scenes that are very uninterestingly written, you know, functionally acted, uninteresting in terms of the dramatics of what's actually happening. I do think, and it's that thing that's like a test of a good filmmaker, is like how well you can shoot a dialogue scene that is innately uncinematic. And you look at how she balances like the degree of, she's really good at holding back on close-ups unless she actually needs them to make a point. And there's the scene where she tells Elizabeth Hurley about Sean Penn's car accident, and she goes in really, really tight on McCormick's face.
Right.
Like cutting off a large section of her face.
Scene. The only problem with it is that you don't really know what the fuck Sean Penn's talking about. You just know that it's bad. You know that it's affecting her.
Right.
And she plays that very well, McCormick.
But I just think that scene is very well directed. It just feels like a half of the movie that doesn't need to be part of the story. And what you saying about like how interesting the murder scenes are, it makes you wish that she just made that movie.
Yeah.
That she had read this book.
I think it's the first point that we came around to that was like, it should have just been the Norwegian stuff.
Period.
You just imagine her mom dies, she reads this book, she connects to the Norwegian thing, right?
Exactly.
Right. Maybe she connects to the present day stuff in terms of having a shitty husband, right?
Yeah, sure. Right.
But that
a
she should
shitty
have gone,
artistic husband.
Right. Oh, this book introduced me to this real life story. Now I'm going to do more research into this story.
Yeah, just do the Smutty Nose Murders.
Right, because it felt like that could have been a
You
pretty
could call it Smutty Nose.
Why it's called Smutty Nose Island? Because when they came over there, one of the guys in the boat was like, it looks like the dirty nose of a sea creature.
Because it's got seaweed.
So
or
the
something,
dried black seaweed on it.
Also,
That's
that
why.
nose likes to fuck.
Oh, God.
Because it's smutty.
It's a porno-obsessed nose.
This is what it's like working with Griffin Newman.
Yeah, she knows. She works with Karen.
Yeah.
She gets it. You don't have to explain.
Yeah, it's like, there is the parallel dynamic.
It's
like,
not an as-if situation.
I'm living in this.
Yeah.
Every day.
Karen, high five. We rule.
You know, I'm just learning, too, that he escaped from jail
He did.
after they got him.
Like twice.
Really?
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, so like you could have a whole subplot about him escaping from jail.
Yeah.
Or
Sure.
Because there's a whole crucial thing where Sarah Polley at the end confesses and she's like, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, you were hysterical and we already killed him, so let's just close the book on this. You know, like they don't, and it's sort of a weird anticlimactic ending.
Yeah.
I do think there's this thing where like I feel like Catherine Bigelow like works in duologies. Like every two movies of hers kind of feel connected to each other. Where like we talked about how like Loveless and Near Dark are very similar. They're movies about subcultures, right? And sort of like anthropological studies of how they exist.
Yes, and Blue Steel and Point Break are definitely
are very much like the stylish like thriller element. And they're both films very focused on the genders of their characters and those dynamics of them existing in the world. Strange Days is kind of the outlier because that feels like the one chance she got to make exactly the movie she wanted to make with a big budget, right? And that didn't work. And then like K-19 and Weight of Water are her like boring diptych.
Oh.
They're like
boring water movies.
Right. They're the two movies that feel like her being like, how do I make a grown-up movie? Like what's my like if I move away from genre, you know? And then and then I think Zero Dark 30 and Hurlock are very much of a piece.
Obviously.
And I think Detroit fails because it misidentifies the things that worked about Zero Dark 30 and
Detroit is like
Hurlocker.
the rattle and hum, where it's
Right.
like she's like, let's do a third one, a third Mark Bowl script, a third
One too
recreation
many.
of a historical event, a third sort of like, you know, amoral, you know, very, very intense, detailed recreation of something. And people are like, no, you don't get to say you're taking back Helter Skelter.
But also the biggest
Complicated
difference
metaphor.
is that like Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30 are both character pieces and Detroit is not.
Right. Well, yeah, and
We'll get
talk
to that.
about
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
For sure.
We'll get to that.
The Weight of Water was released at the 2000 Toronto Film Festival.
Right. Didn't come out until 2 years later.
It gets eventually picked up by Lionsgate and released 2 years later. It's released in Italy in 2001. Why? I don't know.
Interesting.
Italians love the smutty nose murders.
They love it. Oh, smutty nose.
They're all just fascinated with Maine culture.
Yeah.
Very
similar.
Okay, so
It's U.S. debut. I just want to make clear. It's
Yeah.
at the Maine International Film Festival in
Oh,
2001.
Wow.
But yes, it finally comes out USA November 1st, 2002, after it premiered on video in Serbia.
Like,
Wow. What was the thing I was going to say? Okay, so Box Office game, 2002. It would have. I guess the hours was probably pretty high on the charts, right?
Wait, where are you trying to get ahead of the game?
I'm trying to guess the Box
think it's
Office.
'cause
Oh, books! I hate you.
exhausted.
Go to Box Office Mojo.
My least favorite person. No, I like you.
Box Office Mojo.
Box Office Mojo. This movie, I just want to tell you, in total, grossed $109,000.
Not a great amount of money.
Not a lot. It's about 160th of its budget or whatever.
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
not covering, one might
Sure.
say. It was released in 27 theaters on November 1st. It was out of theaters 3 weeks later.
Wait.
So short run. It debuts at number 53 at the box office with $45,000.
That is bad.
So not a great debut.
No.
Not something you really can build on there. It does come in ahead of the IMAX Haunted Castle movie.
Was it opening that weekend?
Well, no, that's in its 85th weekend.
Okay.
Holy shit.
So I'm just saying, Weight of Water, not in the top 5 for the box office.
Sure.
The box office game.
Okay.
Number 1, November 1st, 2002, is a Christmas movie. A sequel.
Santa Claus 2?
The Santa Claus 2.
The Escape Clause?
The Escape Clause, which comes out, let's see, 8 years after the first Santa Claus?
2006, 2005. No, it was 2004. I'm sorry, 1994. What am I saying? It was 1994, wasn't it?
No, all right. So a bunch of stuff. Yes, the first one is Santa Claus, comes out in 1994.
Okay, nailed it.
Second comes out in 2002. The third one is The Escape Clause.
Comes out in...
That's 2006 with Martin Short as Jack
The
Frost.
second
or
one's
whatever.
called the Mrs. Claus.
Wonderful.
Loved it.
I guess so. It doesn't have an actual
Okay,
on
maybe it
screen
was used
subtitle,
in some
but
of the-
right.
yeah.
Who
Has
here
anyone
has
else
seen
been-
the Santa Claus 2?
I've seen like Martin Short's bits.
I've seen all
That
three.
is 3.
That is 3.
Oh, shit.
That's
Sorry.
the Escape Clause. We're talking about the Mrs. Claus.
Tell me about Santa Claus 2.
I mean, I don't really remember much of it, but I had a good time.
Who's his wife?
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yeah.
They realize there's a Mrs. Claus
Yeah.
where, remember how in the first one he starts turning into Santa Claus?
Yeah.
They realize if you're not married within, 7 years of the first film, that you start turning back into a normal guy. So he has to find a Mrs. Claus or else he'll stop being Santa. So he starts getting skinny again and his hair starts turning brown.
So it's just trying to do the opposite of the first
Correct.
movie's bit, but less interesting.
has to make
Like,
a woman
uh-oh,
fall
I'm
in
thin.
love with him, break
Right.
the curse.
Um,
It's like a reverse Beauty and the Beast.
I saw the Santa Claus 1 in theaters with my brother,
Aw.
and he was very young, and he burst into tears when
Oh.
Santa Claus died.
Oh my god.
I got very emotional when he gives Judge Reinhold the toy he always wanted as a
That's
kid.
a nice bit at the end of the first Santa Claus. The first Santa Claus is okay.
I think solid. Yeah.
Santa Claus 2 is number 5 in Box Office Mojo's
Sure.
comedy-fat suit.
What?
genre.
What's 4 through 1?
Okay, number 1, I do not think belongs in this category. It's Mrs. Doubtfire.
No,
That's not
quite.
a fat suit.
That's a
movie.
chub suit.
He's just wearing makeup. He's wearing, yes, he has become a new
He's
character.
got a chub suit on.
Sure.
What do you see him without the dress? He's got a chub suit on.
And then it's Austin
There is
Powers.
a scene where like he gets the suit made for him.
Yes,
right? By
yes.
the guy.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not really like
It's a woman suit.
Weight is not really
Yeah,
the
sure.
sort of like
Yeah.
thing that's going on there. Like he's turning into an old woman. That's what's
Sure.
happening there.
But then number 2's Goldmember?
Number 2 is Goldmember. Number 3 Spy
Which
Who
Fat
Shagged
Bastard
Me.
only has one scene in Goldmember.
He's in it.
Yeah, but I mean, you want to call that a fat suit comedy?
I don't know.
Is Weight of Water an Ice Cube thriller in that case?
Oh,
Yes.
I guess so.
And then you got Santa Claus 1 and 2. Then you got the Nutty Professors
Big
1
Mama's
and 2.
House?
Sure.
Then you've got Hairspray,
Sure.
which
Okay.
again is a little tricky, but it's more her size is more of a
It's a plot point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big Mama's House and Dodgeball is number 10 because there's the Ben Affleck.
The fucking
is-
epilogue?
Not Ben Stiller even. No, it's more than the epilogue, right? He's in like a few scenes where you see him.
Not
No,
memorably.
because it's at the end after he loses,
Yeah.
he starts gaining weight.
No, I remember.
Yeah, I think it's only the epilogue.
And then Norbit.
Sure.
And then there's just like a lot of Tyler Perry movies.
Okay.
And Shallow Hal. Ugh, what a list that is.
What
All right.
is number 2 at the box office?
Number 2 at the box office is a horror film. It was number 2 the week before,
Okay.
but it has only dropped 2%.
Is it The Ring?
It's The Ring.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
The
it opened
opposite of a
pretty low.
usual horror movie, which is like opens big, drops immediately,
Right.
right? You know,
Gore.
like
Because
Gore,
The Ring
gore,
only opened
gore.
in like the high teens, right?
The Ring opening weekend was $15 million.
Right, not great. But then it stayed because it crossed 100, which is
And
a
then,
really good multiple.
Press the salt,
in
honey.
its second
Mhm.
weekend, it makes $18 million. And
Ooh.
in its third weekend, it makes $18 million.
Oh, yes.
And in its fourth weekend, it makes $15 million.
Gore, gore, gore.
Yeah.
gore,
Huge
gore.
word of mouth
Killed
word of mouth hit. Good movie.
A stylish movie from a great filmmaker.
I
Karen and
do
I are
I
shaking
disagree?
hands.
How do you feel about Gore?
I love him. Yeah, I think he's great.
He's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys aren't total maniacs. You gotta know.
I like the.
He's a likable director.
He is.
He's a good
I'm
boy.
not like obsessed or anything. but
Sure.
I like
Right.
him.
I'm with you. Right. Exactly.
You guys Rango on the reg?
I love Rango.
Rango's,
I love
Rango's
Rango.
his best movie.
You love Bugs and Lizards. It's a big bug and lizard movie.
That's my bit.
You're
Yeah.
the queen of the bugs.
That's true.
Queen of the Bugs.
Emma's bit, we should note, is that she's Queen of Bugs.
Right.
I love them. They're great.
The EBs.
Oh.
Emma's bugs.
Hmm?
Emma's bugs.
Yeah, EBs.
Karen boys.
The
Emma
EBGBs.
bugs. The EBGBs.
Thanks for laughing.
That's what I
Griffin.
give people.
No laugh here. The Ring.
20
The
comedy
original.
points.
I think the original's better.
I've only seen the original. I've never
Asian
seen the
horror is
remake.
always scarier.
I didn't find it scary.
I kind of like the remake.
I think because I knew what was going to happen. Like I knew I was going to see
I
her
didn't
come
know
out of
she
the
was
TV.
going to come out of that motherfucking TV when I saw that movie.
Do you know what I think The Ring does incredibly well?
Uh-huh.
I think it is one of the only movies to successfully pull off, and I can only speak for myself, but I felt very tricked by it, the fake out ending. Because there's the point where they defeat Samara and the movie's gone on long enough and you think it's over and she wakes up the sun and she goes like, we're cured. And then there's another 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. It's a
It does it
decent fake out.
really well.
I think that movie's good. I also
I
think
think
that
it's good.
movie was just generationally important
Agreed.
as like the first horror movie a lot of kids saw because it was a PG-13, wasn't
Right.
it?
I remember seeing that with like my entire 8th grade class or whatever it was and all of us flipping the fuck out.
I also think the video is really good in the
It's
Verbinski
scary,
one because
yeah.
in the original it's also good, but it's just like so low quality. It's a little harder.
Yeah.
Verbinski's a master stylist.
He is.
Mhm.
Look at those
Uh,
Budweiser frogs. He knows how to shoot things.
All right, number 3 at the box office
Uh-huh.
is a buddy comedy. It's a flop because it's opening number 3. It was
I Spy?
expensive. Yeah, good job.
I remember this
Good job.
vividly. This was like my 8th grade or whatever. I
Who
was
we
like in the
got?
pocket.
Who we
I was
got?
in the pocket.
Give our 3 leads.
It's Eddie Murphy,
Yep.
Owen Wilson, Famke Janssen.
Famke Janssen, who you've worked with, right?
I worked adjacent to. Like my first movie I ever did.
Emma and I ran into her at an ice cream store about a month ago.
It was amazing.
How's she
She's
doing?
so tall.
She's a tall girl, which
And you're very
Yeah.
tall.
Yes.
You say that.
yes.
You're over 6 feet.
I think I am 6 feet. Maybe I'm
Okay.
6'1".
As is Famke Janssen.
Is she
Exactly.
taller than you?
We're the same height.
6 feet.
Wow. Wow.
Xenia-
Gina Davis too. We're all
tall
6 feet.
girls.
Hanging out. How's the air up there? You
Oh,
and Gina. and
It's
Famke?
wonderful. Little thin.
Famke was like my biggest movie crush for a very long time.
She's awesome.
She's gorgeous.
First
She's
X-Men.
still
She's an
just
X-Man, yeah.
insanely gorgeous.
She is Jean Grey.
It was all about
Yeah.
Jean Grey.
But I Spy? No.
Not a hit.
The audience has decided not to spy.
Betty
that
Thomas,
movie.
who was kind of riding high, that sort of killed things.
Betty Thomas, the director
Had done
of I
Dr.
Spy.
Dolittle, which was humongous.
But what did she direct later?
Alvin and the Chipmunks, the
Oh
Squeakquel.
God.
Can you tell me what she directed in between, though?
It wasn't Serving Sarah, was it?
No.
But it's that kind of movie.
Yeah. Reginald Hudlin directed Serving
Right.
Sarah.
Fuck. Right. But it's two people. It's like that. It's a comedy that's just like.
No, it's a
No?
teen comedy about someone
Oh, John Tucker Must Die?
Oh
who
boy.
must die.
Okay.
Number 4 is a low budget documentary comedy that had been number 1 the week before.
Low budge docu-comedy called Jackass the Movie.
Nice.
which is a terrific.
See, I
movie.
saw all of these movies. This was like a big movie going time for me because I was like
Totally.
now allowed to see movies with my friends.
Yeah.
I didn't need my fucking dad, the man, to drag me to the Cineplex.
Right.
I could go see movies with Cody Lewis, Patrick Solomon,
Aw.
Shout him out.
Dean Diaguardi,
Great. What a bunch of guys.
Skylar Reddick.
These are the most like stereotypical
Yeah,
teen
middle
names.
school.
Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like you lived in a teen novel.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like you live in a...
Jack Teague.
Yeah.
That's a good name. That's a pirate name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Number 5
Mm-hmm.
is a horror movie I saw in theaters that I had a decent time with, which is directed by, and this is my detail that I love, a man who's only made 2 movies, and they both have the same word in the title.
He's only made 2 movies. They both have the same word.
He's
in the
like a
title.
totally anonymous director. I've never heard of him.
Is this his first or second film?
Second.
It's a horror film. Is an original horror picture.
It is.
And they never made a sequel?
No. It didn't make that much money.
Does it have a big star in it?
No, it has a TV star in it who is kind of trying to make a leap to movies, and it has a set piece right at the beginning that is gruesome.
Interesting.
Boy, oh boy, is it gruesome.
Like notably like famous?
I don't know about famous because there's nothing
No
about
one
this
talks
movie
about this,
that's that famous, but if you were going to remember something from this movie, it's probably the opening scene, which is gross.
TV star? Was it like a teen TV star?
No, grown-up TV star.
It's a grown-up
In
TV
fact, we've
star.
mentioned the show on air.
Today? ER? It's an ER actor. Is it Juliana Margulies?
Correct?
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Is it Ghost Ship?
Ghost Ship.
Oh my god.
Ghost Ship, directed by...
Fuck, I don't know.
You don't know. Steve Beck. Who
What is the
made
other movie?
13 Ghosts
Oh.
and then Ghost Ship.
I was hoping both of them had ship.
Right a year apart from each other, then he never makes a movie again.
What if he had directed Shipwrecked?
That'd be great. That would be good. I think that would be a great move by him.
Yeah.
Ghost Ship, which stars Gabriel Byrne,
Uh-huh.
Juliana,
Emily
Carl
Browning's
Urban,
in it, right?
Emily Browning, a young Emily
Yeah,
Browning.
yeah,
who's
she's
the creepy
tiny.
girl.
Yeah.
And the opening scene is some like metal cable. It's like there's a party on a
I
ship
remember
in
this, yeah.
old timey.
Okay.
And then some cable gets loose and slices everyone in half. But like in a way where they're all like standing there for a second and then they all go like,
Yep.
and like all, and
That's
it's
the only way you can do a
gross.
halvesy.
Can you tell me what the tagline for Ghost Ship was?
Ship happens?
Up top.
Ghost ship happens.
Oh boy. Here, Emma, do you want to read the tagline for me? Right up there. That's why I wanted her to see it.
The tagline is "See evil" with C spelled.
No.
Like,
No. That's cool and funny. That's cool and funny.
That's a good one.
That's
I laughed.
cool and funny. No. Yes,
You just saw me, heard me laugh.
Yes.
I think that
And I love
movie
the poster
is fine.
too because the poster. I remember
poster's good.
seeing the poster like on the marquee, being like, "Wow, that's a
Yeah,
good poster. Look at that."
It's a ship, but what if the ship was
You know,
also a
if
skull?
if I had seen that poster before knowing what the movie was called, I would assume it was called See Evil.
Agreed. See Evil is more prominent and larger on the poster than the title.
That's true. It actually is a little, or it looks like it stars someone called See Evil.
Right.
It's not the greatest poster. Maybe that contributes to its mediocre 30 million domestic gross.
I'm here to see See Evil.
Yeah, right.
Let's be fair. If the Fast and Furious franchise can star an actor named Vin Diesel,
This
it's
is your
not
favorite
that
bit.
illogical to believe that a
Evil.
movie called Ghost Ship could star an actor named C.
But
Evil.
the Sea Evil's just
Okay,
sitting
yeah.
there, and he's like just waiting for the phone to ring, and then finally they're like, "Ghost Ship," and he's like, "The movie for me,
My time's
Mr.
come.
Evil."
Yeah.
Sea.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wanted you to be caterer. Not in the movie, Mr. C. Evil.
Other movies in the
Mhm.
top 10.
Mhm.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding in its 29th week has made $185 million.
Well, it sounds like the end of its run. That cannot make any more
Yeah,
money,
it's
right?
definitely not going to make another $65 million.
That box office run will never make sense. Ever,
Insane.
ever.
It's so crazy. Nia Vardalos recently followed me on Twitter.
Oh, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thanks. Sweet Home Alabama, also starring Mr. Josh Lucas,
Mhm.
is making healthy money.
So he's killing it this weekend.
Just murdering
real
it. He's number
Joshy
6
weekend.
and 53. What everybody wants.
You want a real good spread.
Sorry, 7 and 53. Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson's lovely movie.
That movie has, I think, aged incredibly well.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's a perfect movie, but I think it's a movie that's only gotten better with
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
Yeah,
So has this movie, Red Dragon.
has only gotten better.
We all remember it.
Take that
Where
back. I'm
Brett
joking.
Ratner was like, what if I made Manhunter? But hear me out. Didn't do that great a job.
What if Manhunter wasn't directed by Michael Mann?
What if Manhunter wasn't directed by Michael Mann? And I'm like, I don't know. You're gonna have to sell me
Wait,
on
wait,
the
wait,
guy
wait,
who's
wait,
gonna
wait.
do it instead.
Wait a second.
No, I got it. Brett Ratner.
Do you know this story about Brett Ratner's parents had like a horrible custody battle?
Oh,
No.
And when he was like 9, this is like Brett Ratner's Rosetta Stone. I think that
Are we not
favorite-
allowed
one
to
of
be
his-
mean to Brett Ratner anymore?
No,
I think his-
you can definitely
his
be
parents
mean to
were
Brett
not-
Because I'm not going to stop.
I
Yeah.
believe his parents were not married, and there was a horrible custody battle, and also like I guess for child support. And he went with his school class on a field trip to court. Like that was a thing. I don't know if you ever did that.
Oh.
But like grew up in New York and be like, we're going to go to the courthouse and see how
Yeah.
law works.
Yeah.
And the
No.
case that was
No,
going on
no,
when they
no,
went
no,
the
no,
field
no,
trip
no, no.
was his mother and his father arguing over
No.
the bastard Brett Ratner.
No.
I did not know that. How do you know that?
Because I read a profile of Brett Ratner.
Sure.
But that feels like he walks into that courtroom, the bastard Brett Ratner, and he walks out of that courtroom going like, I got to make everyone think I'm cool. You know?
Great.
Yikes.
He succeeded. I guess.
Yeah.
We all think you're cool now, Brett.
Also, do you remember when he did X-Men 3 and he said, it's like I'm Wolverstein.
Did he actually say
No.
that?
They called me Wolverstein because I'm like the Jewish Wolverine.
I don't care for that.
He directed X-Men The Last Stand.
Yeah, he directed X-Men 3.
Oh, no, I
He-
remember
yeah,
that, but I meant like the
and
Wolfenstein story.
He was the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, he did.
We'll
He
never
called
know if
himself
either
Wolfenstein.
he
Yikes.
or Matthew Vaughn was the one who was like, let's get the Juggernaut bitch meme in there.
I would bet on it being
Matthew
Brett.
Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn definitely cast Vinny Jones.
Vinny.
in that
100%.
movie. Yeah,
He cast everyone in that movie.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
He quit very shortly
Yeah, I
before
know.
they started
It's
filming.
weird.
Yeah.
Weird. And then did the
Yeah,
same
he's
thing
doing
with
great now, though.
Thor.
Yeah.
And then did the same thing with Days of Future Past.
He did the same thing with Days of Future Past, yeah.
He was
didn't
supposed to
quit
direct
the-
Thor
Yeah, I don't think he
before
quit.
Marvel Studios got the rights back.
Right, I don't think he quit
Yeah.
that late with Thor. Number 10 is Brown Sugar, which is a great movie.
Yeah.
I saw that in theaters. Rick Famuyiwa, I don't know how you say his name.
Yeah,
but,
good director.
who was going to make The Flash for a second there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That would've been a fun
Of course,
movie.
I'm directing The Flash now
Congratulations.
Congrats.
this week.
Number 14, this is the last thing I want to mention.
Okay, Ben is having a great time.
Attack of the Clones, the IMAX experience.
Very nice.
Ooh.
A movie I definitely went to see. I saw the IMAX cut, which I've talked about is 20 minutes shorter and
Because they had
significantly
to fit it into the IMAX.
What did they
yeah.
cut?
all the romance,
Romance.
stuff.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Sure.
The
So-
testicle bugs are gone.
Weight of Water doesn't stick around, unfortunately.
Does not.
No.
What number was it?
Surprise,
56?
surprise.
It was 53.
Yeah.
53.
And I want to repeat. I think it's interesting. Comes out after K-19. So
Mhm.
she's really fucking.
Yeah, because
She's
K-19 was
drowning
a
in it
summer
right now.
movie. K-19, our next episode,
Right.
was a summer movie this
Right.
year.
So this is her boring water movie duology. Right.
Oh, boy.
And then she chills out for a sec and reboots and
wins a fucking Oscar.
wins an Oscar. Yeah.
That's how you do it.
yeah.
Congrats, Catherine.
But like, you know, she makes Weight of Water. They bring it to festivals. It's met with a shrug. She's like, fuck. National Geographic offers her $100 million to make a submarine thriller
Wait.
with
What?
Harrison
Oh,
Ford.
right. Yeah, okay.
And it's like, great. Okay, this is the way to get myself back on the map. That movie comes out, is a huge flop. And then to add insult to injury, 3 months after that movie flops, they finally release
They
the
finally
previous
dump
movie.
it.
And then that flops even harder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an amazing comeback story. Like, the stage is set perfectly for her to fucking rewrite history, which she does.
Which she will.
Yeah.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Adjusted for inflation, Santa Claus opened to $44 million.
I remember being struck because I thought the movie was gonna flop. I thought it was
Yeah,
it was
who
another
cares?
stakeout situation that they waited too long.
Waited too long. Yeah, comedy fat suit. So we've run for 2 hours. Ben Hosley looks like he wants to eat poison. So I'm going to cut it off right here.
Thank you.
Please edit that episode liberally.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, if you want to slow it down,
Yeah, exactly.
play the whole episode.
Everyone
at
listen in
speed.
half speed. Yeah, exactly.
And the will to live is
We
slowly
talked about the
seeping
weight
out
of
Ben
water for like
Hosley's
30
eyes.
minutes.
Not a lot of time.
Generously speaking, 30
Lifting
minutes
out
of
of
the
it.
weight of water.
We gave it some attention.
We gave
I
it
think
some
we
attention.
talked about.
We gave it some weight.
Yeah. Yeah, we're done. We're done.
We're done. That's the end of the episode. Thank you very much.
No. I mean, yeah. Well, yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Do we have
No.
a talk out?
a talk out?
Like a fade out, but we're talking.
Oh,
Like
no,
a
no,
goodbye?
no.
We don't do that.
We do
We
it
don't do
tight. We do it tight, like
Got
the
it.
fucking let's wrap it up kind of business thing.
Cool.
Karen, Emma, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you
Thanks
for having
for-
us.
Yeah, that was
people should
great.
follow you on Twitter.
Yep.
Google your pieces. Twitter's probably a good way to be kept abreast of your work,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Your podcast, Karen's Boys, is starting immediately after this.
Yeah, just
Right.
just keep the podcast on, and we'll segue right into
Right.
it.
Someone please help me.
I think
Free
that's-
Emma.
I think that's a good idea for a podcast.
Will you help us?
That's where he was helping you. He's like, I think it's a good idea.
I was encouraged.
He'll help you with his vocal support. Oh, what applause. Look at the spikes. Look at the All right. Everyone, back to zero. Griffin, while you're laughing, I just found out some news and I want to do the as always. So just let me do it, okay?
Oh, fuck. Okay, I had something planned, but you do it.
Do you have something good planned?
Y'all hate it, so do what you're hating.
But
If
yes,
you ask
follow,
me, yes. If you ask you, no.
Follow Emma and Karen on Twitter and
Letterboxd and all your favorite social
be
media
great.
platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Jobo and Patrick Reynolds for our artwork, Lane Montgomery for our theme song. I turned my phone back on because I was trying to look up the thing for the end as always, but we're no longer doing that because I don't want to make David angry anymore.
No, you're gonna like it.
I have already made one of my friends angry. His name is Ben. He looks furious. Scarlet with rage.
Yep.
Angry about my existence.
I'm very hungry, so please wrap this up.
I'm so
Thank to Ange Fergudo for our social media.
And as always, Paramount's Clifford the Big Red Dog movie project has a new leash on life, reports The Hollywood Reporter. Walt Becker, who directed Alvin and the Chipmunks The Road Chip, has come aboard to helm the feature, which is intended to be a live-action hybrid.
So you're saying
Breaking news.
that he's going from old dogs to big dogs?
He can barely contain himself. A big red dog. What if instead of them being old and human, they were big and red?
And what if the dog hit everyone in the nuts?
I hope it does. So, thank you, and we're done.
Thank you,
Ben,
Walt Becker.
delete this episode.